How's it going, everyone? We're about to just get started. Yo, how's it going? Cause we post something in chat to make sure the chat's actually working. Did some playing around today. Didn't even come up. Alan Wake 2 is my game of the year. Test. Hello from Denmark Xbox. How's it going, Samuel? Okay, so why is that not showing? All my testing today gone down the drain. It is the way. How are we doing today? That's weird. That should be working. Yeah, that should be working. Yeah, the stream's working. It's the chat that's not popping up. It should be showing your messages, and it's not. Which is a little weird. So, game of the year. Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, it should be working. I'm also taking it directly from YouTube as well, so there's really no reason for it not to work. It's fine. We'll make do for now while I figure it out on the fly. But yeah, so what's your thoughts on the game of the year? I thought I'd jump on for about an hour or so today just to discuss the Game of the Year nominations and see what everyone's thought process is, because if you're asking me, it's daylight robbery. I really feel that way. I really feel like it was a complete shamble of a nomination. I mean, we're going to get to that in just a sec because there's a lot that's actually being unraveled today. That's insane, right? It's truly remarkable on how ridiculous it actually is. But, you know, it's phenomenally crazy on what is actually happening. All right, let me see if I can do this to fix this just for the meantime right now. Because it's gonna bug me and I don't want it to bug me. That's all fine, that's all fine. The chat thing not working is really irritating me. And it should do because everything's selected correctly. Weird. So we're going to do it another way. We are going to do this another way real quick. There's the window capture. There we go. Chat temp. Yeah, that'll do. So what we're going to do is minimize that. Bring that there. You know what? It's a ghetto way of doing it, but it works. It is a proper ghetto way of doing it, but as long as it works, it works. The game a hell of a lot more stable. It hits that 60 way more frequently. I think the PS5 drops down to like 40 frames per second at times. That's crazy. Clearly doesn't like Unreal Engine 5. So curious, how can anyone take seriously the nominations in such categories as community support for the game that has literally the worst support of all games all year? I mean, dude, it's going to get better. It's going to get better as we go through this. Why is there 2 Nintendo games that no one else can play other than Nintendo people? What? Well, I mean, I think The Legend of the Tears of the Kingdom, in my opinion, is a glorified DLC. But at the same time, I can see what it's done, what it's changed, what it's added, and it's a Zelda game. The fact is, I can't remember a single Zelda game to come out that has reviewed badly. The gaming community seems to, well, at least the media community seems to love anything that's Zelda, right? When it comes to Mario, I actually really like Mario. I don't think it's Game of the Year material. I think there's just other games out there that we're going to look at that just really deserve to be here instead of this one. I think for Resident Evil 4, there should really be, a new category for remakes. There has to be. But so many games got snubbed for these 2 positions alone. Spider-Man 2, I think, is a really good game. Is it Game of the Year material? I don't think so. I think, again, there are other games that... I mean, I'd have rather had Final Fantasy 16 instead of Spider-Man 2. Put it that way. That's just my opinion. But just saying, if we were gonna, if they were head set on picking a PlayStation game to put in that position, then there was other options that they could actually go with, and I think would have been a better option. Baldur's Gate, I don't see the appeal to that game. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. I don't. It's my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying it's a crap game. It could be the best game in the world, but for me, it just doesn't appeal to me. It never will appeal to me, and so I don't get it. The only reason I saw that game doing insanely well when it first came out was because everyone was so eager to see how you can have sex with a bear or walk into a house where pigs were having sex, and everyone was getting off on that shit. And 2 weeks ago, prior to that, people were laughing at furries, and then they became furries themselves without even realizing it overnight. The number one thing I saw on social media was, you can have sex with a bear! And then everyone wanted to play it because you could have sex with a bear. Let that sink in. Spider-Man 2 is not innovative and is just another sequel. It is just another sequel. Hi-Fi Rush, not a Game of the Year nomination. That was the most fun I've had all year, and it was a new IP. I think Hi-Fi Rush should have been here in place of Mario Wonder, for sure. I think Hi-Fi Rush should have made it there. Yeah, but all games you can play on the PC other than Nintendo games. Nintendo like to keep their ecosystem locked. This is why I was saying in one of my videos where, I think Nintendo should look to offer like a subscription service of some sort where they can kind of either stream their games to the PlayStation or the Xbox. And I think that would actually work really well. It would be a win-win situation for them because not everyone wants to buy a Switch. And have you seen Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch? I actually feel sorry for the people playing on Switch to have to be able to play on something that looks like that. It looks like something my kids drew. And they're 9. Let that sink in. Now, I know there's some really talented 9-year-olds out there, but my kids aren't one of those. Yeah, what is the deal with the remake of Resident Evil? Resident Evil 4 should never have been on this list, period. Am I wrong, or was the best version of that not for the Wii? No. this version of Resident Evil 4 is the pinnacle version. Without a shadow of doubt. It is the best version of Resident Evil 4 you're going to play. It is really solid. It is really good. Removing the microtransactions that they introduced 2 weeks after the review process is actually a really good version of it. And it's coming with VR as well. So for those of you that do like to dabble in VR on the PlayStation, it's an added option. We need to realize that outlets such as LA Times, Vogue, and Variety have votes for the Video Game Awards. It's not exactly bastion for video games. I mean, Metro also has a vote in this, right? Metro, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, all of these anti-Xbox publications that have basically been bashing every Xbox game since the start of the year was voting here. Was this vote ever going to be non-biased? I mean, these publications like IGN and whatnot, they've been bashing Starfield to hell and back. What are they going to suddenly turn around and say? Hey, we actually think it's Game of the Year material, even though we gave it a 4 out of 10. I mean, it was never going to happen, right? I mean, the whole thing was rigged from the very get-go. It was never going to happen. Mario needs to be replaced with Starfield. I mean, for what Starfield does and what it introduces, sure, there are problems with the game. And the omission of such features like DLSS, field of view, I know they've added it now, but DLSS should have been a day one thing, right? And that would have helped performance. They shot themselves in the foot really hard with that one. But even some of the stuff like the decisions that they made to... I mean, do you guys understand... Well, do you guys know how and why there's the loading screens in Starfield? I think that's the first question I should ask before I get further into that. I used to love all the older Zelda games. Not the last two, though. Those games are no longer for me. Zelda's changed. Zelda used to be an RPG. Now it's just an open world exploring, go find your stuff and go finish the game. I mean, people have finished the original Breath of the Wild in 5-10 minutes from start of game because you can just go straight to Ganon and kill him. Defeat him. But so, it's not even a case of being like a really full-on Zelda game. It's just you've got a big sandbox. You can go power up if you want to, or if you're really good, just go beat him in the first go. I enjoy D&D a lot, and I'm looking forward to eventually playing Baldur's Gate 3, but it isn't for everyone. That's right, Rick Mars. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad game. I'm just saying it's not for me. But for those people that enjoy it, happy days. Absolutely. I really hope you enjoy it. But it's just not for me. I still want to try it. Give it another chance. But I'm not willing to pay full price for it. If I can find it for like £10-15, then I'll consider it. That's going to be a few years from now. But I don't want to spend 70 quid on a game that I know I'm not going to enjoy. Or there's like a 95% chance that I'm not going to enjoy. I'd rather spend that money on something else that I am going to enjoy. Jedi Survivor, I understand not being a Game of the Year nomination because it launched buggy, but Hi-Fi Rush was polished. Great narrative, art style, soundtrack, and had a creative new gameplay system. Agreed. Nintendo on xCloud would be awesome. I agree. That would be like the way to go for Nintendo. And it's just an extra revenue stream, right? Even if they communicate a 20% to 80% deal. So Nintendo take 80% of the subscription fee, whereas Microsoft and Sony take 20%. 20% is 20% for Xbox and Microsoft and Sony, and they get, their fans are getting access to games that they wouldn't have access to. And Nintendo is getting revenue from customers who would never play those games because they wouldn't buy a Switch. So to me, that's a win-win situation. Why Lies of P not on that list? Lies of P is a weird one. I think Lies of P... I mean, the first mistake this year was cramming 6 games, right? They should have opened this up to 10 games. Considering how many good games came out this year, 10 games should have been on the Game of the Year list. It would have made it a little more flexible, given it more breathing room, but they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. Dead Space Remake, not one nomination. Yep. I mean, I actually was talking about Hogwarts Legacy as not being nominated. You know, the game that had one of the highest concurrent users on Steam. It was the highest grossing game this year. I think it made like what, $1 billion in record time. Not a single nomination. Not one. And you know why that is, right? Because I've already been receiving harassment, hate mail, because I'm actually trying to get, because I wanted Hogwarts Legacy at least to get a nomination. And I've already been on the receiving end of the LGBTQ community. It didn't take them long, trust me. I'm not surprised that Starfield didn't get nominated due to the lack of support from Bethesda. There is game-breaking bugs which still haven't been fixed. I mean, aside from that, Brandon, I think that with the way the media trashed it to hell, and those same media are the ones that are recommending Game of the Year, regardless of whether the game was brilliant, it was always going to not be in that list because they didn't want to highlight that game because it wasn't on PlayStation. If that game was released on PlayStation, it would be in the Game of the Year in its current state 100% without a shadow of doubt. Without a shadow of doubt. And the simple fact is, because of the way the game is designed, not even the miracle SSD that is from Sony could fix the loading that is in there right now. Because it's actually a design choice that they've gone with. It isn't a thing where they have to load that data in. It's actually a design choice that they've done. So they can't fix that. They'd have to redesign the whole game. I've played over 400 hours in Starfield so far. No other game this year. I really need to spend more time in Starfield because, well, as you know, I'm running 2 YouTube channels. I'm working 9 to 5, streaming. My time is extremely limited, but what little time I do have, I do try to get in. But busy. Some of the load screens are kind of needed, but not the ones on the planets ain't needed. None of the load times are needed. None of the loading screens are needed. They are all a design choice. They're not needed. The simple fact is, if you can have games like No Man's Sky do it, it can do it. It doesn't need to be that way. The simple fact is, what they've done is completely different. I'll go into it in a little bit, Steve, just to give the overview of why Starfield is the way it is. Let me just get through the comments real quick. Crazy how Spider-Man 2, despite all the bugs... Well, Spider-Man... Look, I'm going to get into trouble for saying this, and whatever. I hope I don't. But Spider-Man 2 had a gagging order for reviewers. You weren't allowed to mention bugs. Now, I'm not going to go into full details of what it is. I mean, there's some serious bugs in there that the December patch fixed, like completely corrupting your game file saves. It's really possible to do that. Or having your character basically be completely non-responsive, and there's no way to fix it, even if you go back to a previous save. So there's some really bad bugs in there. But there was a gagging order that was issued that they were not allowed to talk about. I know this because I got a review copy. Now, obviously, I might get into trouble for saying that, but that is actually a thing, right? Spider-Man 2 was only the first-party Sony game this year that didn't also come out in Game Pass, though. What do you mean? No first-party Sony games come out on Game Pass. The biggest travesty is Hogwarts because of... Yeah, they were petrified of what might happen if they nominated Hogwarts. There would be riots. So they chose not to do that. And that's a damn shame, because now that shows that this show is all about politics, nothing else. It's always the groups promoting anti-hate, inclusiveness, and acceptance that end up being the most hateful segregated group around. I agree. They don't do themselves any justice. I mean, I remember at the time when Hogwarts Legacy came out, and I was looking to stream it. I really wanted to play it, and I started getting death threats from them. I started getting threats, like emails were being sent to me saying that if I stream this game, they will basically collectively cancel my channel. It was really dark time. Now, I was a small channel at the time. You know, my Twitch channel has, what, 700 followers? It's very small. I don't want to lose what little I have. And I was basically bullied into not streaming it. But as of right now, I just don't give a shit anymore. If they want to go and do that, the people that now follow me, the people that support me, they know who I am. They know what I stand for. They know where I am. I'm not saying that I'm not, you know, sympathetic to their rights, but at the same time, if you're going to try to infringe your rights and block mine, go fuck yourself. Simple as. If remakes can get Game of the Year, then Dead Space should have been selected. It's proof that Jeff Keighley is a Japanese weeb fanboy. Potentially, yeah, I agree. Dead Space was a good remake. Andrew, wait till you see the creatures that collect these awards. The day the show comes, they'll be monsters in human forms. Let's see, how much more is there? Not too many. Cyberpunk getting nominated Best Ongoing Game. That was a travesty. That was a travesty. That was ridiculous. I lost a friend because of Hogwarts Legacy. I quite enjoy it and posted pics from it. And that guy blew up at me saying I was supporting hate. Yeah, I mean, the fact is, if someone is going to come at you like that, they're not your friend anyway. A video game is a video game, right? Simple as. What JK does in her own time and decides to do is irrelevant. She was paid a nominal package for that game. She's not getting any royalties from that game. She was paid, so whether that game does well or not is irrelevant. She's got her money, she's off. But those developers that everyone seems to be, you know, we have to look after developers. We can't have them lose their jobs because we care about developers. But as soon as it becomes a personal agenda, fuck the developers, fuck them. I don't care if they lose their job. It's all about me. I mean, that's the community, right? A gag order renders review pointless. I know. But that's why in my review, I spoke about the bugs I experienced. I knew about other bugs that were there. And I did mention some of the bugs that were forced. Let's face it, some of them were forced, right? We're not going to deny that now, right? And I spoke about those in my review, in my lengthy review. But I personally couldn't give the game a 9 because of the bugs that I experienced that ruined my experience in that game. So I gave it a score less than 9. But that was me. Post the actual email of the gag order. I'm not going to incriminate myself to that extent. Really, Brandon? The only 2 games by Sony first party were MLB The Show and Spider-Man 2. Oh, right, yeah. Tomb Raider Class. I mean, don't get me wrong, the gag order is nothing new. You know, it's nothing new. I mean, reviewers aren't allowed to mention a lot of things, show a lot of things. They can only talk about certain things. There's like a whole list of stuff. If you ever get into that business, you'll see for yourself. Tomb Raider Classic and Morrowind should get Best Ongoing Game. Survive today because the companies release their own dev kits so they can create stuff for the game. Yeah, he was so angry at me and we had a huge fight about it. I just said, grow up. Yeah, you know, it's not worth it. I still can't believe Starfield got snubbed for soundtrack and Halo Infinite for... I mean, Halo Infinite is doing really well at the moment. Hey, Bunty, how's it going? Cyberpunk took Halo Infinite spot. Cyberpunk shouldn't have even been there. Destiny 2 getting nominated for Best Community Support was hilarious. That just shows how broken the system is. I'm the only person saying this because I'm the only person that probably doesn't care about getting blacklisted. Like I said, no one wants to get blacklisted because no one wants to lose their precious freebies from Sony. I mean, this has gone since the beginning, right? Sony isn't the only one to do this. You know, I've reviewed a number of games where they turn around and say, you can't mention this, you can't mention this. These are in the game right now, but they'll be fixed for day one, so you can't mention this. I mean, realistically, how do I know that they're going to be fixed for day one with the day one patch? Is there any way for me to know unless I've got a DeLorean? Excuse me. Is there any way for me to know unless I get a DeLorean, find a church tower, make sure it's thunder and lightning, get that 1.8 gigawatts with my flux capacitor, go to the future, and then go back in time so I would know for sure? Unless I can do that and I can get something like that working, there's really no way for me to know. I get not allowing you to show stuff, but having gag orders stopping people sharing a big part of reviews is ultimately makes them reviews disingenuous. I mean, some of the stuff should have been fixed day one. That's what their thing. I've heard of embargoes, but gag orders, that's the only reason why I'm questioning it. I mean, yeah. I mean, look at it this way. We all know that Spider-Man 2 has bugs, right? Everyone can unanimously agree. Insomniac Games released a 4-page update with bug fixes. But not one review mentioned a bug. I mean, if you put 2 and 2 together, without me even saying it, if you just put 2 and 2 together, if the developer is releasing 3-4 pages of bug fixes within an update that they did for Spider-Man, how can not a single reviewer who has reviewed this game, over 150, not have experienced any bugs? Now, I, live on stream, had Spider-Man desync my audio for the whole PS5. I thought my PS5 was bricking. It desynced from system level. It desynced my audio. When I was moving the icons on the dashboard, I would hear the sound 2 seconds later. I had to restart my machine twice during the stream to get it to fix. There are bugs. Bugs aren't a bad thing. Like, look, I work in the tech industry, right? And I'm QA. And we have a developer where we work who is so kind of conscientious about his development. Now, he doesn't want anyone knowing that his work might have a defect. I mean, my job is to find the defect, report the defect, give it back to him. He then fixes it, sends it back to me. That is literally my job. But what he wants is for the project managers, the account managers, to see that everything he does is flawless. Having errors is human nature. It's how we evolve, it's how we get better when we correct ourselves. But there are people like that out there. And on big games like this, they don't want the bad stigma. And that's all it is, it's just stigma. I'm going to stop there, Anthony. I don't want to get myself any more incriminated than I already have, because I know some of this is going to be captured, posted online, so I'm going to already be in trouble with Sony. I don't want to be in trouble with anyone else. Spider-Man 2 did have bugs, as experienced big bugs, a few game crashes, and Sugar Cube Spider-Man. They're probably just going to complain about the bugs when it comes to PC and act as it's the PC fault for Spider-Man 2. I mean, the PC ports have generally been lackluster. I mean, The Last of Us should say everything. When the amazing Lucas critiques the bugs in Spider-Man 2 more than mainstream reviews, you know you're in trouble. Pretty much. It's actually crazy how many levels are being made for Tomb Raider, even now, because people upload and make them a lot. It's surprising when you see how many older games have so many mods. I mean, mods are a great way of actually, extending a game's life. Now, once the actual uh, creator hub comes out for Starfield, they will be able to create new planets. They're going to be able to create new storylines, new quests, new weapons, new armor. I mean, they can physically create a whole new game within the game on this planet that you can go to. It's pretty awesome that they can do that. No, they're not allowed to put it into their review, Anthony. They're physically not allowed to put it into their review. Now, maybe after the review process is gone, and maybe a month after, then once the game is out and all the bugs are there, then they can talk about it because then it's public knowledge. But until that process happens, as part of the review, they're not allowed to mention some of the stuff. Let's see. Let's go to the next category. Best game direction. I don't know, like, how are these two here? I mean, this to me talks about, a narrative driven storyline. So why are these two here? I get these three. These three I get. But why are these two here for a narrative story driven game? The problem with media buyers is they'll attack Xbox and that it will become normalized. There won't be any more fair gaming. Yeah. This is why I love older things. It would be a shame if they stopped using Creation Engine. They wouldn't be able to mod it as easy. That's true. I mean, you've got to give them credit with them. I mean, that Creation Engine was designed with the community in mind to mod. It didn't just happen. They designed it that way. They designed it for the community to take their game and just run wild with it. That was always their intention. And kudos to them, because that's really good. The night of the VJ, I won't be watching it. New game reveals I can watch on YouTube. VJ will never get my views ever again. Jeff and his selected panel. What I want to see on VGA night is this winning. I mean, have you already heard what the narrative is from Sony fans now? Even if Spider-Man doesn't win Game of the Year, they didn't lose because Xbox didn't get a nomination. I mean, how mentally deranged can you be? That is the narrative that's going along. Maybe, Anthony. I mean, what's the difference between them? At the end of the day, the review is still disingenuous. They're not giving you the full picture. You're going over a review and basing your purchase decision on something that isn't 100% factually correct because they're not allowed to say it. An embargo to me is more like you can't release it before the set date. There's a date, an embargo date, where you can't release something. But I guess both of them come to a same... I guess both of them really overlap. So I guess they're the same thing, really? I guess gag order would probably be more along the lines of you're never allowed to say it. But with the embargo, I guess it's date driven. So yeah, I guess you're more right there. I'll give you that one. That makes a little more sense when you break it down. So yeah, but it still comes up to the same thing, if you know what I mean. Game direction is more how the gameplay flows with the game and what does the most unique things. I don't know. I still don't think these would have been the... What would you replace these two with, though? Yeah. Anthony, I totally agree. I totally agree. That's why I said it's a... It was my wrong term, but still it's bad that they can't talk about it. Starfield for narrative, 100%. I think Starfield would definitely come in here. I don't want to say Lies of P because though that game, I mean, Lies of P was good, but I don't think it's that strong in the narrative. Retype game released in that year. Not only. Imagine if Xbox had GTA 6 exclusive for 1 year. I mean, I think they'd probably have to pay the same amount of money they paid to buy Activision Blizzard for that one. Hi-Fi Rush was a new IP. Why are there no new IPs in Game of the Year nomination, but new consoles to play new games, not remakes and DLC, charged as a sequel? Yeah. Nando, to be honest, it's very biased towards Xbox. It is. I mean, this whole thing was biased towards Xbox. Don't get me wrong. I looked at the list of games that actually was, that would have fallen this year under Xbox's remit, including the ABK and whatnot. Redfall is not going to make Game of the Year. Diablo 4, I think, should have been in there. I don't even know if it got a nomination. We'll see in a bit. But Diablo 4 potentially could have been a candidate. Modern Warfare 2 was panned to hell, even though it was rated lower than a game that didn't even have a campaign. Work that one out. Minecraft Legends isn't going to make it. I think Flight Simulator came out this year, but that was more of an expansion, so that probably doesn't count. I guess ongoing it would have. But there was few and far between. Hey, Seth. If we are all being honest, Game of the Year should have been the following: Kong, Gollum, Quantum Error. I still can't believe Quantum Error, the broken ass game, got a higher review than Modern Warfare 3. That's crazy. GTA 6 for Game Pass? No way in hell. No way. Let's look at it this way. What could Microsoft actually do to win the media over? I think... Right, so I think some of the design choices in Starfield were wrong. Now, do you understand why when you go into a building, there's a loading screen? Or when you go into a cave, there's a loading screen? Do you understand why that is? Do you know why that actually happens? Or when you leave the planet, there's a loading screen? All of this, there's a reason for it. And unfortunately, it's the design choice that they went with. It's got nothing to do with the Xbox being able to handle it or the Series S holding it back. So basically, I'm going to use, picture this square block. Picture this block for Spider-Man, right? I'm going to use this as an example because it's in the middle. Picture that as the building that you're about to enter. So where it says here, Microsoft Marvel Spider-Man 2, that's where you enter. That's the lobby, and that's where the room is. Now, on the outside, when you're standing here, if you can see my mouse, just underneath the Insomniac Games SIE, you see this building in all its glory, and you can see inside, and it's fine. When you enter that building, it's actually the size of 3 of these. It's a lot bigger than you see it from the outside. And so what it's actually doing when you go into the building is what's called a seed. It's loading a new seed, or it's loading that particular seed for the area. So unlike in, say, games like Cyberpunk, where you see a building, you go in it, and you're restricted to the confines of the area, they've decided that when you walk into a building, that building could literally be the size of a matchbox. But as soon as that loading screen is done, it's as big as Hugh Hefner's mansion. That is what's happening here. The caves that you go to are exactly the same thing. When you look at that cave, you just see the entrance, but that loading that you're doing is loading the seed for that cave, and basically you're experiencing a much bigger scale of what's there than you would do. Because if it was just going into it, it would be a lot more narrow, a lot more confined, and a lot more smaller. But if you notice, when you load up, you see like the hole that's there that you came in from, but the area beneath you is so vast. That is why. Now, as for the landing on the planet and leaving the planet, again, the outside realm is a seed. When you're in space, it's a seed. The planet itself, the locations that you have, all of those are separate seeds that it needs to load as you fly into it. Now, could it load those on the fly or have like a loading screen like Destiny has when you're going from planet, when you're loading into a planet? Potentially. But they've decided that that's the way they want to do it. And that's why it is the way it is. It's 100% a design choice. It's not because they can't do it or the system can't handle it. The whole loading structure is a design choice. I'll give you an example. In Atlantis, where you have the train on the second level, if you ignore that and run to the left and choose to run down to the bottom and just jump off the building and make your way down, you can get to your ship without a loading screen. So that clearly tells you there that loading isn't required. But when you get on the train, instead of it showing you an animation of the train going like you would do in, say, Star Citizen, where you have to wait for ages, because apparently that's what people want, it decides to do fast traveling. And that is essentially what it's doing with the train rides. You are fast traveling to that seed or to that location. So I hope that gives you a better understanding as to why Starfield is the way it is. It's not that the game can't hack it or that the developers are bad or that they just made a bad game. It's literally because it was a design choice. Pure and simple. Part of the issue is the anti-Xbox bias inherited in the media, but there aren't many categories here that isn't controversy-free. There is a coach that didn't coach, the RPGs that aren't, etc. Leaving planets, yes, it isn't like Skybox, is correct. Microsoft will have to buy IGN to get... I mean, the head of IGN, if I remember correctly, worked for Sony before leaving there and becoming head of IGN. So there's that too. The game I picked to win is Starfield for Game Award, but Super Mario, no, or the Legends I put in COD. Resident Evil game, them two, Mario Legend, no. Caves are... sorry. Caves are a separate instance in Starfield. That's why the portal out always seems to look white. Yep, it's basically a seed. And it's how all these... what's the word I'm looking for? The planets are formed. They're all seeds. GTA 6 on Game Pass? I mean, if they offer them 60 billion, they probably would take it. It doesn't matter whether you need money or not. 60 billion is 60 billion. GTA 5 was on Game Pass, but that cost them 300 million, even in this day and age. That's still a lot of money. Yeah, it didn't have to be to scale, eventually. And yeah, games like Red Dead that were on there, they're only there for a limited time because these stuff are done by contracts. Let's see. Lots of GTA 5 talk. I think we'll see GTA 5 at the game nomination. I'm surprised. Octopath Traveler 2 is criminal to not be on the RPG list. And Final Fantasy 16 should have been in the action section. But, in this day and age, like Reforged says, the dude that thinks has all the answers, if it has a skill tree and a leveling up system, it's an RPG. Did you see Yu Suzuki's new Space Harrier game? I've not seen it, but I heard it. I still want to check it out. My personal game of the year is Dead Space Remake, and I know it's not nominated for, but it's a personal. Derek, that is perfectly fine. That is absolutely great. But I will definitely check out his Space Harrier game. I read an interview with Yu Suzuki talking about Shenmue, and that's where I had heard about Space Harriers, the new game. Edward, in my opinion, there are certain games that are there right now that if you get the marketing rights to them, even if you don't make profit off them, the revenue you'll generate from outside of that transaction will more than make up for it. The benefits will make up for it. So if they actually got marketing rights for GTA, then they can say, look, if you've signed up to Game Pass, you can get these, every month you'll get X amount of shark credits for the online mode. Or you'll get X, Y, and Z as a cosmetic given to you every month. That's enticing for someone to come over to the Xbox platform and play it there. But then they can also bundle it with an Xbox Series X or a Series S. And then they'll turn around and say, look, buy it here. We are the ones that offer you this with exclusive benefits if you're on Game Pass. So it would push console sales ridiculously. And that would, help Microsoft a lot. I know Microsoft is all-encompassing in terms of where they can play, but they really need to start pushing the Xbox sales. They do, because a publisher doesn't care if you can play your game everywhere. What they care about is their game selling on your platform. And if your install base for your platform is small, then they're less inclined to release on there. So they need to push it. So a game like GTA would have a huge impact on that. And you'd expect Modern Warfare to have done the same, even though at the moment Bobby Kotick screwed Sony by releasing this instead of a DLC. Because we all know it was a DLC, right? It was a DLC. But they released it as a full game to end Sony's marketing deal. That is why they quickly patched together and made it work within 16 months. Otherwise, this would have been a 3-year cycle. But they patched this shit up in 16 months to end Sony's contractual obligations. So from next year, 2024, the next COD that comes out from Treyarch, that's the one that all eyes should be on, because that's the one Microsoft is going to pump everything into. Now, if that fails, then questions need to be asked. Yes, it should be, because it's on Shenmue as well. The one where you're like that dude flying around. It's game journalists, they don't know what RPGs are anymore. The good old days when loading screens, oh, good lord, Commodore 64. Can you imagine people today having to wait 20 minutes and then to find out that the tape decided that it wasn't going to load one section properly and you had to start all that 20 minutes all over again? Oh, there'd be riots. Yeah, I'm showing my age there. The Marvel's new movie was a big fail. I heard it did real bad. They should have a Game Pass subscription option which offers you online subs for Elder Scrolls and World of Warcraft 2. I think I'm surprised they haven't done it with Elder Scrolls Online. I really do want to play that if I ever find some time. I've heard it's a lot better now, but World of Warcraft, I think once it officially gets announced for console, and I really think it's going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform. It makes sense. They're going to want to kind of have Elder Scrolls, Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, Phantasy Star Online 2, all in one home, the only console to house all the MMOs. That would be a nice sell for those that are interested in MMOs. Indirect profit does need to be considered, but there is still a limit. At what point does it become uneconomical for Microsoft marketing rights? As for console sales, Microsoft has overestimated sales in the past. Well, they kind of need to do something. They need to increase their console sales. It's just a thing. They need to do it. Yeah, it's just a DLC, but no improvement. The only real question in gaming scene is what the hell is Kojima up to? Now, we know in a video that I released that Phil Spencer was going over to Kojima to actually look at the progress of the game. So it's still, it is in development, it is in progress, so work is being done on it, so it isn't dead. ESO is already free to play. It is not. It is a paid product. It might be free on Xbox, maybe through Game Pass. I guess it probably is, but it is a paid purchase. It's free to play, but it's a one-time buy. If ABK did rush Modern Warfare 3 to end marketing deal, I think they could only have done so at Sony request. No, Sony. Jim Ryan actually approached Phil Spencer and asked him to waive the marketing cost, because he turned around in an email that was revealed within the FTC trial and said, since you're buying them, I guess you can now, as a formal agreement between us, you can waive the marketing cost that we have to pay ABK, since it's not going to them anymore and the ownership is changing, and we can get it for free. And Phil Spencer said, yeah, keep dreaming, buddy. And Jim Ryan didn't like that at all. Did go to Ryan and offered a new marketing deal when the winds to flowing in favor of Microsoft, and they turned it down. Yep. Yeah, that's correct, Derek. Xbox is doing better in Japan than in the Xbox One was, but it still doesn't have the footprint they want. I like Elder Scrolls Online, but can't play it almost every second. I take breaks after a beat an expansion and do quite a bit, then come back. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. No lifing a game is just not the way anymore. I mean, back in the old days, when I used to play Final Fantasy 11, that was an MMO. We're talking when I was, in college, I think, or just started university. So we're talking well over 20 years ago. About 20 years ago. I used to play that game day and night. I used to live there. They used to be like my second home. And MMOs in the past required that. They were like a second life. It was a second family. You'd log in there and it was like you're talking to family in your guilds and your link shells. Nowadays, it's just that personal connection is gone from MMOs. You don't have that anymore. And for those folks of older generation that played MMOs, you kind of miss it, because now it's all about just jumping in, doing your dailies as quick as possible, and then getting out. And that whole daily structure that even MMOs are now incorporating is kind of horrible. I don't like it. Well, imagine compiling a game for 4 hours, only wipe the whole thing clean because they didn't have the hard. Yes, FO. Phil Spencer is hope buys Sega because I don't want Persona 6 exclusive to that platform. I don't think Persona 6 will be exclusive to Sony, even if they don't buy it. I think they have a good enough relationship with Sega right now where it just won't be the case. I don't know if the Persona 6 will be day one Game Pass, but I don't think it'll be a thing. But, the way it is right now, when these games do come out, people need to support them and buy them. That shows the developers that there's a market there for games to be purchased. But if the developers keep seeing that 90% are buying it on PlayStation and only 10% are buying it on Xbox, sure, that 10% is still revenue, but at the end of the day, the development does it outdo the development cost, the maintenance cost that has to come after? So these things do weigh on developers' minds. Well, not developers, publishers. Developers couldn't give a shit. They just work on whatever you tell them to work on. They have Final Fantasy and Star Ocean. Yeah, Star Ocean's a weird one. That doesn't cost anything to port over. It's such a low-scaled game. It doesn't make any sense. That one doesn't make any sense to me at all. Next gen is the one to watch. Launch Xbox alongside bangers like COD, Elder Scrolls 6, Halo 6, Gear 6, Fable, Forza Horizon 6, and watch them fly off. But they need to deliver. Those games need to deliver. Halo Infinite single player, it launched, and when they first showed it, they knew it was bad. They knew it was going to be mocked, and they still showed it. Like, why? Now, Gear 6 with Coalition, I have full faith in them. I know that they're going to deliver something really damn good. Because they always do. Even if their last Gears was like super safe, it was still a good experience. And graphically, it looked amazing. Fable is going to be a hit and miss for most, I'm guessing, because of how long it's been. Forza Horizon 6, if you like Forza Horizon, racing games never do that, are never that popular because it's such a niche. So, when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 6, it needs to blow the waters. The next Call of Duty has to be amazing. Halo 6, it has to wow, both graphically and narratively. And Gear 6, I have full faith that they'll deliver a good game for that. Where are ponies clinging to Spider-Man's... Because that's all they got. Atomic Heart and Robocop, the best games of... I really liked Atomic Heart. I need to finish it. I was about halfway through, I think. I enjoyed it. PS5 is the only next-gen console. You might want to go to Specsavers. Actually, maybe not. Maybe a brain surgeon might help there. I'm really excited for State of Decay 3, but it's been so long since any updates. There was an update for State of Decay, but I can't remember. But there was a update that it was still on track. There was some development hell for it, but it seems to be back on track. But yeah. Hellblade 2 is going to be the big one. That has to deliver. No ifs, no buts. Hellblade 2 has to deliver. Best narrative. This one's actually quite difficult. I think, what else would you place here? I mean, this one only has 5. Why doesn't it have a 6th one? El Unico, Alan Wake's narrative is insanely good. I can't believe people are saying it's got a trash narrative. I don't understand how anyone can say that. Hi-Fi Rush got 4 nominations. I mean, IGN gave the PS Portal an 8 out of 10. So, there's that. Steve, I agree. What have we got next? Art direction. This is tricky. Because this one, like, I've played all of these. And this one I can throw away. The graphics on this don't look great. But the art for these 4 look phenomenal. But again, my question is, why is there only 5 when there's 6 for other categories? Why not have a 6th game here? Is it because an Xbox game was chosen and they decided that, nope, we're not going to put that there, remove it? Hopefully Hellblade 2 makes them not biased and has their interest for a potential game of the year next year. Yeah. I mean, I can see them still nitpicking it. I mean, they will dissect that game to high heaven to try and find anything wrong with it, whether it's a facial animation or a piece of grass that they have to zoom in by 900 times. Yes, Digital Foundry, I'm looking at you, to try and stoke those console wars. But someone is going to be doing something stupid like that in order to try and bring it down. It's going to happen. I voted for Alan Wake 2 for that one, and The sixth one was for sure Starfield. I reckon it probably would have been Starfield would have been here for art direction, but I think they didn't want it there. Or it could actually be that Hogwarts Legacy was actually nominated, and every time it actually won, they just removed it and left it as a 5. I mean, I really wouldn't put it past them. I mean, Diablo 4, for example, has really good art in it. Yeah, like Leafson could have put Diablo 4 there. It has really good art in it. I mean, graphically, it looks really nice. I mean, Season 1 was completely trash. I think we can all agree on that. But the rest of it was good. Best score and music. Music, inclusive of score, original song, and see, the soundtrack for this is phenomenal. Don't know about this. This is mid. This is amazing, and this is mid. So for me, it would be between Alan Wake and Hi-Fi Rush. These two would be the ones that I would base it on. What would you guys base this on? And if you were to remove any of these, what would you remove and place or add as a 6? A little off topic, my apologies. Do you think that the day before game is ever coming out? Nope. That game has been a joke for a while now. I really would love to see it because that game just screamed at The Division to me. And I, say what you will about The Division. I actually like The Division. I'm a huge fan. And it had everything I wanted. Like, it captured that same vibe. And I really wanted it to be real. But the more you see of it, the more it just looks fake. Like Abandoned. They just keep on dragging people on. Hi-Fi Rush sound is amazing. Diablo 4 was a great looking game. Starfield isn't on TGA Game of the Year because the media are Sony biased. They are. I mean, where can we see? I'll show you the media in a bit on who actually voted. I mean, this one's Final Fantasy's audio track was good, and I respect to hell Masayoshi Soken. That guy is a living legend. Did you guys hear about his story? Did you guys hear about Masayoshi Soken's story during Final Fantasy XIV 6.0? I mean, Mary, if you want to go and jerk off to IGN, then by all means, go for it. But yeah, did any of you have any of you heard about the story for Masayoshi Soken and how good he is? I mean, I think everyone knows how biased IGN is. It's no surprise on how biased they are. They write a review for the PS Portal. They completely trash it in parts of the review and still give it an 8 out of 10. Come on. Come on. I mean, they don't have any games to play. That's the problem. They're relying on Microsoft to release their third-party games over to them, like Call of Duty, so they can go play it. So Masayoshi Soken is the music composer of Final Fantasy XIV. He's been composing since The Realm Reborn, and his music is just phenomenal. He's a true genius when it comes to writing music, composing music, and the guy is a pure joy to be around, right? During the development of Final Fantasy XIV 6.0, he was diagnosed with stage 2 cancer, I believe it was, moving on to stage 3. He was in such a bad state where he had to go to hospital and basically spend 6 months there. This was during the pandemic where you weren't allowed to visit anyone. Now, Yoshi P, who's the director of Final Fantasy XIV, basically said, look, your health is more important. The president of Square Enix said, your health is more important. We will give this to someone else. All we want you to do is to get better and come back. That's all we care about. Soken said no. He still wanted to work. He still wanted to get this out because he loved the fans and the fans love him. And he wanted to finish this expansion in the vision that he had with the music. And by God, is the music in 6.0 phenomenal. So Square Enix went to the hospital, Yoshi P and the president of Square Enix. They got a room that was isolated from everywhere else. They set him up a whole studio in there so he could work based on what he wanted. This was his choice. Now, none of the other team actually knew. The whole of the Final Fantasy XIV team, outside of Yoshi P and, HR and the higher ups, knew that Soken had cancer. So on the actual fan festival reveal, he turned up. And it was there that Yoshi finally revealed that this is why he has been away from the team, not being, around or anything for so long. And there was a point in his diagnosis where the doctors basically gave him like a 10% chance to live. And he still pushed on. And on the stage, you had people saying, I feel really bad now because I was telling you to trim half a second here, a second there. And if I knew your condition, I would have just given it to someone else to do because it was a menial task. And he was like, but that's the point. I didn't want you to do that. I wanted you to treat me the way I was, as if I'm healthy, because that's the energy I needed to continue to deliver the best I can for my community, for the people that love what I do. And in a miraculous turn, he actually beat cancer. What was going to stage 3 went into complete remission, and the guy is full healthy now. But that guy's a legend. That guy is a legend. I know I got a bit carried away with that, but I always love talking about his story because he is so passionate about the work he does. My guy had a whole studio set up in his hospital room to complete the work for 6.0 so the fans wouldn't miss out. That's amazing. Best audio design. I think this is above average. This is phenomenal. This makes me, if you watch me playing this on stream, I am scared, literally scared half the time when I'm in. The eeriness of the music is so bloody frightening. Dead Space I didn't play. It's one of the games I still want to play. Hi-Fi Rush I did play. Really good design, really good music, complete different contrast. Resident Evil is going to be Resident Evil. Starfield could have been nominated here, I think. Absolutely. But yeah, it probably would have been between these two again for me. And if Starfield was there, potentially, but I think these two would have probably been. It deserved the nomination, most likely. But these two for me would have stole the show. I gave it if you're asking me to give it a review, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. But it is different to the first game. Very different. It's still got the same combat, but the design of the game is different. The first game was about kind of a thriller. You're in this world, your pages are coming to life, everything you've written in your book is happening, and it's kind of following that narrative. This one is based more on a horror game. I haven't played Dead Space, so that's why I can't comment on Dead Space, Derek. I can only comment on stuff that I have played. Oh yeah. I'm absolutely enjoying it. I've been streaming it almost every night. I think I'm like 25 hours in now. Best performance. She does a really good job. Melanie Libbard and Alan Wake 2. Peter was okay. Didn't mind Peter, even though emo Peter was a bit annoying. Idris Elba's always cool. Cameron was okay, but I think I'm going to give it to Clive Benstar. That's who I would go with. But Melanie would probably be a strong second. But I think, Benstar will win this. Oh, he's good. He's really good. I don't think these three would factor into the top three, but the top three I think would be these three: Ben, Idris, and Melanie. And I hope we get to see Idris in more games because he's got the knack for it, he's got the voice for it, and he's got the style for it. Innovation in accessibility. I mean, this is pretty much Microsoft has been pushing, along with Insomniac Games, accessibility for quite some time. So I think these games are deserved. I don't know about the accessibility in Mortal Kombat 1 though. I know Capcom has been trying as well. And which game was it? I think the one was The Last of Us 2 released this year, the remake, or has it been remade yet? I can't remember. Or was it The Last of Us 1? Was it released this year or last year? The remake. So this one is accessibility for those that are colorblind, hard of hearing, hard of seeing. But like, for example, the accessibility features in The Last of Us remake allowed someone who is blind actually to play the game through the narrative speaking from the game that actually helped them complete the game. When enemies were attacking, it would say, as the character stood there, an enemy is approaching on the right hand side. And so they would instinctively know that an enemy is coming so they can dodge, or it would tell them like to dodge or to do this and that. And I think that's amazing for, I'm surprised if that was released in 2023. I'm surprised, even if it is a remake, considering a remake is in the game of the year, that didn't beat any one of these two. Right? The fact that a blind person was able to complete The Last of Us remake it tells you all about, the level of accessibility that went into that game. As Spider-Man was missing 2/3 of the accessibility. Why is that even here? They added that in with the December 1 patch. That should not count. So Spider-Man shouldn't even be here. That's just here because, Sony. Oh, Ref, I gave Spider-Man an 8.9 out of 10. At no point am I saying Spider-Man is a bad game. I would have given it a 9 if the bugs in the game didn't ruin my experience. But it did. It absolutely did ruin my experience. And so it lost like a 0.2, a 0.3 from my overall score. It was big enough to annoy me to actually dock it some points there. Otherwise, it would have got a 9 or a 9.1. Easy. But this one was missing half the accessibility features that got added in December. So why is it even here? If we're talking about games on how they launched, then this shouldn't even be here. Because the accessibility on that was just bad. What's he saying? Because I've not even been paying attention to him. I mean, if everyone just ignores him. Got you, little punk. Let's see, what's he been saying? IGN gave Redfall low ratings, so by your logic, IGN giving Redfall low ratings was them Why does everyone keep referring to Redfall? Redfall was unanimously broken at launch. It wasn't right. It wasn't. I mean, that went through such development hell that the actual people making the game reached out to the CEO of ZeniMax and told them that we don't want to work on this game anymore because it's changed so much from what we envisioned. There's no passion left there to work on that game. Is that literally the only game you guys can actually refer to when it comes to IGN's ratings? Is that how pathetically stupid you are? At least come with something that actually works. It's always Redfall this and Redfall that and Redfall this. I mean, is that literally the only ammo you got? Because if that's literally the only ammo you got, you're losing. It makes no goddamn sense. Why just Redfall? Why not talk about the other great games that have been released? Jesus. Games for Impact. I mean, Game Pass is still the best service in gaming. You know, they didn't increase their price and then deliver absolute, crap to the forefront. The difference there, Maori, is everyone that I've spoken to that has actually played the campaign, that actually has a PlayStation 5, has said that the campaign is better than Vanguard and is better than Ghost. And both of those got a 6. So if it's better than Vanguard and better than Ghost, and they got a 6 because they weren't at the time bought by Microsoft, and now magically when they're bought by Microsoft, it turns a better campaign is now getting a worse score. I think even you're not that stupid to put 2 and 2 together, right? Even you are not that stupid to put 2 and 2 together. And these aren't people that play Xbox. They only have a PlayStation 5. They are Sony fanboys. And even they turned around and told me that what they're seeing just isn't true. Even the multiplayer experience is better than Modern Warfare 2's. It's just a better game overall. The multiplayer experience has gotten better. It's provided new mechanics. The gameplay runs better. You've got new weapons. You've got new maps. They've also brought back maps that people wanted, yet that's now a bad thing because they listened to the community that was crying that they wanted the old maps back to be brought back in. So they do what the community wants and they're still getting ducked points for it? Come on, even you can't be this rose-tinted glasses. Anyway, as we were saying, I have no idea for this. This is the only one that I know of and have watched my kids play and they really enjoyed it, so that would probably be the only one I'd vote for. Best ongoing game. Now this is a fucking joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. How is this a best ongoing game? Now I know Paul Tassi tried to defend this by saying, hey, they basically rebuilt the game. Well, because the game was broken, so they rebuilt it to make sure it works. That's not a best ongoing game. That's generally reserved for live service games or, games that deliver in drips and drabs. Like Apex Legends. That's an ongoing game. Final Fantasy XIV is an ongoing game. Fortnite is an ongoing game. Genshin Impact is an ongoing game. Honkai Star Rail, Nikkei, Tower of Fantasy is an ongoing game. Elder Scrolls Online is an ongoing game. Fallout 76 is an ongoing game. But if this is an ongoing game, then Starfield is an ongoing game because it's got a DLC coming, right? That means that Spider-Man 2 is an ongoing game because it's going to have DLC. That means any single player game out there is an ongoing game as long as it has DLC. And considering Alan Wake is getting 2 DLCs, then why isn't Alan Wake here? Again, this is stupid. My vote naturally went to Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, Halo is an ongoing game. The multiplayer at the very least. COD is an ongoing game. There's so many ongoing games, and they put a game that's a single player game and just had a release of a DLC. That's pathetic, right? That clearly shows that they have no clue what they're doing over there. Best community support. I mean, what the hell is Destiny doing there? They just laid off over 100 members of staff, and they're still there. Patching a game does not make it ongoing. And I know you agree with that, Edward. I don't know the community for Baldur's Gate. I know they're very stuck up. Cyberpunk, they wanted to kill the developers, so well, at least the community wanted to kill the developers, but this is community support, so I don't know how much support there was there, considering people wanted to murder them. No Man's Sky has an amazing community. Absolutely phenomenal. They love the shit out of the developers and CEO. Forgot his name now. Sean Murray, I think it is. They absolutely love the fuck out of him. This is, in my opinion, well deserving as well as 14. These 3, no. This, definitely no. But these 2, in my opinion, it's going to be a good race. But you know what? I bet Baldur's Gate wins it. If Destiny wins this, you know it's rigged. 100%, without a shadow of doubt. Best independent game. Okay, so this is actually quite funny, because Dave the Diver is not an indie company. So this shouldn't even be here. Yeah, but now, Edward, what the TGA is doing is they're bending the rules to suit them. Because CD Projekt Red gave them a wad of cash and said, hey, we want to be in these nominations, so make it happen. And then Jeff Keighley said, well, you know, the rules are the rules. Ooh, what's this briefcase? Holy shit, okay. Your game will be in there. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And that's pretty much how that went down. Because at the end of the day, that briefcase is all that matters. But Dave the Diver shouldn't be here, right? That shouldn't be here. Because at the end of the day, it's not an indie development. So even this, they have got wrong. Sea of Stars absolutely deserves to be here. And in my opinion, this is really good as well. If you've not played this, you should. It's really good. If it's the one I think it is, you kind of have to turn this arena around to be able to complete paths that you have to walk through. It's a really nice puzzle game. But Sea of Stars and Cocoon for me is going to be the 2 that actually potentially have a chance to win this. Both of them are absolutely phenomenal. But we've already seen there something that shouldn't be there. Best debut indie game, Cocoon will win this hands down. Best mobile game. I mean, I didn't even hear about Hello Kitty Island. It's not even something that pops up on Google Play. I've never seen it. Even this one, I didn't know about it. I have to go check it out because I genuinely didn't even know that a Monster Hunter game was available on mobile. Now, I'm surprised that this is here, but you don't have the likes of Genshin Impact in this, or Nikkei, which is doing phenomenal. I mean, they're getting something like, both of those games are, well, Honkai, Genshin, and Nikkei are probably making about $80 million a month. That's crazy money to be making a month on mobile. And that's why Microsoft essentially bought ABK, because they want that dirty mobile money. Fallout Mobile, I didn't like. I tried the World of Warcraft game that came out. It's basically just a tower of defense. It's not for me. I didn't like it. But I can see WoW fans loving that because it's kind of hits home to what they like. You know, if it was maybe a Final Fantasy one, I'm more akin to that. Then I may have liked it as a tower defense. But I've also seen how they treat their mobile games, and they pretty much want you to live in them, which is why I started playing Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, but had to stop because they literally want you to spend like 10 hours a day playing that game, and it's stupid. Absolutely stupid. Like I said, Hello Kitty I've never even heard of. I mean, I've heard of Hello Kitty, but this mobile game, not a single advert anywhere. You'd think you'd see something. But I'm surprised, really surprised, that Genshin isn't there and Nikkei isn't there because they make bank. But Terra Nil is? Has anyone even heard of Terra Nil? Sea of Stars, Lies of P. Dredge I want to try out because I've heard good things about it. Dredge I think was indie. Best debut indie, Dredge. Dredge was best debut indie game. Yeah, I actually own all the Fallout games, but it just never could get into them for some reason. They're not for everyone. Diablo, Mozart, they're not for everyone. I mean, Activision loves their money, right? $65 for a horse. Best VR AR. Okay, this one, I almost lost it, right? Synapse is actually good. I plan on buying that. It actually has David Hayter. For those of you that don't know, he's the Metal Gear Solid Snake voice actor, and he sounds awesome in this. So, as stupid and petty as that sounds, I'm pretty much willing to buy this game because he's voice acting in there, and I've seen what it looks like, and it's good. This is just an add-on to the VR mode. Should we even be talking about add-ons? That's a good question. This one is, well, weird. It's pretty much Lemmings in a bigger scale. That's all this is. But this one is absolutely shit. It is beyond shit. In fact, I would say that if you were to collectively have the worst games out right now with Golem and Kong, this would still rate below those two. That's how shit this game is. And it made it into the best VR AR. Yes, I am saying that out publicly. This game is worse than Golem and Kong. It's that bad. And before anyone says anything, I have it. I've got a PSVR 2. I actually bought it for this game. And it is the biggest pile of shit that has come out in 2023. Right? It is the biggest pile of donkey shit that has come out. This game wasn't even supposed to be Horizon. It was actually just a game that was about mountain climbing on a VR. Sony liked the idea and bought the idea and told them to adapt it to Horizon. It wasn't even a Horizon game to begin with. It is just a very, very bad game. Just go watch Angry Joe's review. That is probably, his review pretty much sums it up, where he said, if you're looking to buy a VR for this game, don't. It is so atrociously bad, it's not even worth your time playing it. And I am a huge fan of Horizon, which is why I bought this. And I feel so robbed that this should never be there. I mean, didn't you see the PS5 fans, the Sony fans? They wanted to review bomb Modern Warfare so bad they went and review bombed the 2011 game. I mean, that's how stupid these people are. That's how dumb these fan base are. They went and review bombed the wrong game. COD doesn't belong to PlayStation because it's got the Microsoft seal of approval on it. So you can continue sending your 80% of revenue that you spend to fund further Microsoft games. I'm sure Phil Spencer is thanking you for it. Hey, I'm YouTube, say my name. Caden plays baseball. 30. There you go. GT7 VR, that's actually quite nice. If you've experienced it, you'll know. If you haven't, then you won't. I'm kind of waiting for the VR for Resident Evil 4 because that's how I want to play it. I don't even know if it's available yet, but this also highlights just how bad VR is doing. This is the only first party game that has actually come out for VR for Sony for the PlayStation VR 2 since launch. This doesn't count. That's an add-on. They've got one game and it's dog shit. Best action game. See, Final Fantasy 16 should have been here, not in the best RPG. Final Fantasy 16 should have been here. Ghost Runner 2 probably won't win this. Dead Island 2 is actually really fun. Hi-Fi Rush is great for this, so is Remnant, but I think Armored Core is going to win this one. Derek, I love VR when it's done right. Like, if you've played Half-Life Alyx, it's so good. But that's when you can see something done right. Resident Evil 8, the add-on VR by Capcom, was also really, really good. And I'm hoping that the 4 add-on is good as well. But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush got a lot of nominations. The problem is, will it beat Armored Core 6 for Best Action? This one is good, but I don't think it'll win. I do think that Dead Island or Ghost Runner, probably Ghost Runner, should have been replaced, and Final Fantasy 16 should have been put in here. That would have made this category so much more interesting, because Final Fantasy 16 is an action game. It's not an RPG. And I think that would have made it really, really, really interesting. Remove this one. Remnant 2 is fine to be here. Hi-Fi Rush is fine. Armored Core is fine. Get rid of Ghost Runner, sorry. Put Final Fantasy 16. What other game could... I mean, I guess you could leave Dead Island there. It's not going to win, so... Hey, Lion's Pride Animation. How's it going, buddy? I guess Life of P would probably go here and replace Dead Island. You know, it is an action game. It's a Souls game. So yeah, Final Fantasy 16 here. Lies of P here, because I really like Lies of P, even though I absolutely suck at it. But that would have made this a much better category. But instead, they watered it down. They added these two that no one's ever going to vote for. They've added this one in there, which it deserved to be there. But I can see everyone voting for this one and this one, because no one's going to want to vote for an Xbox game now, are they? Best Action Adventure. Again, Final Fantasy 16 could have come here as well. But otherwise, I think these are pretty solid. Oh, I really like Dead Island 2. I still need to finish the base game with the DLC having come out. Just need to, because I'm playing it 2 players with a friend of mine. And, well, I need to make sure he's around so we can play it together. Otherwise, I'll never hear the end of it. Yeah, you can. I mean, with so many good games coming out this year, restricting it to 5 is just silly. Lies of P is a Souls-like game. Yes, that's what I said. But Hogwarts could have been here, right? Hogwarts could have been here. Could you have placed Hogwarts here as well? Best RPG. Now, we all know that Baldur's Gate is going to win this. But Lies of P, an RPG? What are you, crazy? Are you crazy? Lies of P, an RPG? What? Of course we know Diablo. they were scared of the backlash, which then makes it totally unfair. No, Lies of P is great. It is amazing. I absolutely love it. Even though, like I said, I'm not very good at it. I'm not a Souls type person. This is the first Souls game I've really, really enjoyed. I didn't even like Elden Ring, but I'm really enjoying Lies of P. I go back to it every so often for a few hours and then take a break again. But it's a good game. One I'd recommend anyone, even if you don't like Souls games, to give it a try because it just feels right. But would you say Final Fantasy 16 in its current state is... I mean, we know you're voting Spider-Man to Maori, but it's not going to win. And if it does, it's going to be shocking if it beats Baldur's Gate 3. At that point, I think the whole world will call rigged. But should this be an RPG? To me, this is an action adventure game. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think these two should be here. This deserves to be here. What should have been here is Octopath Traveler 2. I mean, Octopath Traveler not being here is criminal. How can you not have Octopath Traveler in here? That game looks so great. The art style is amazing. The story is amazing. It's just such a good game, and it just got turfed. Shenmue? I'm really hoping for a new Shenmue. I mean, Lies of P is not an RPG. I have. It's ridiculous. Best fighting game. God of Rock I've not heard of. So that's interesting. Might want to look that up. Did Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl get shut down? Pocket Bravery. Wasn't Killer Instinct released this year? Why didn't Killer Instinct make a mark here? I mean, Rafi's Tech, if they remade Chrono Trigger, I would want a full remake. Not a Star Ocean 2 remake. I am talking a full remake. It hasn't come out yet? Oh, fair enough. I thought it came out. Probably why I didn't hear much. This one was good when it came out. I know a lot of people had fun with it. But I don't know if it's still alive, because I heard they were shutting it down. But Street Fighter 6 will win this hands down. If it doesn't, it's daylight robbery. Mortal Kombat is good. But when you start charging, what, 10, 15 bucks for a finisher? Get out of here. But this one is actually really interesting, right? Because there's... all of these games are actually good. I don't know how Pikmin 4 would be a family game. I don't really play Pikmin. Sonic Superstars is good. I think Mario Wonders is probably better. But for me, the most fun I've had between all of these with my family is Party Animals. If you haven't played Party Animals with your family, kids, you absolutely should do that. Hey, thank you for the membership Lions Pride animation. That is very much appreciated. But yeah, Party Animals, I highly recommend you check this out. This one got my vote. This is good, and we have a lot of fun playing this. But this one, I've never had so much fun with the kids in just a sandbox arena. There are so many maps. There are so many characters. It's just really, really no-brain fun. I mean, this will. I don't know if they're going to get it. I really think Party Animals might creep this one. There's a really good chance, but the media side of me tells me that Mario is going to win this because it's Nintendo. My heart, as a Sega fan, having worked at Sega, grown up with Sega, Sega was my, I didn't go to the SNES side. I started off with, the Sega Master System, the Mega Drive, the Sega Saturn, the Sega Dreamcast. That was the path I went. So my heart wants Sonic Superstars to win because I'm just a huge fan. But if I'm going through logic and just pure fun factor, Party Animals should take this. Street Fighter charge £15 for cosmetic. What? I didn't know about that. That's crazy. That's crazy. These people are getting more and more just ridiculous. Which one was it? I think it was in Destiny. They charged $20 or £20 for just a skin. That said, if you're looking at the gacha games I'm playing at the moment, they're charging you £100 for a skin. That's even worse. That's just crazy. Best sim strategy. Wasn't this broken at launch? Like, people couldn't play it. I swear, I remember reading that when this one, you can join the YouTube membership down below underneath the video if you want to do that. And there are other ways you can show support. There's super thanks, Patreon, but the YouTube membership is super easy. It's just at the bottom. I think, to me, the biggest problem with Destiny is the fact that I've played Destiny since the beta of Destiny 1. It should be. There should be a join button there. A big red join button. But I played Destiny 1 from the very beginning, right? From the beta, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with that space magic. That first time that you walk to the speaker and he tells you about the travesties that he could tell you, but I won't. Okay. But, it all captured that magic. The first time you met the stranger, where there's so much that she can tell you, but she doesn't have time to explain what she doesn't, and that meme that went on, it all captured the essence of what made Destiny Destiny. Everything around it. The first time you got to the Hive Gates and Peter Dinklage said, "You've awoken the Hive." It's all iconic. The first time you got your Galahorn is a memory you will never forget in Destiny 1. I still remember it to this day, where I got it in Iron Banner. It just dropped, and everyone in chat, when they heard me when they saw I got the Galahorn, they were all cheering. It was like a huge moment. Those are the moments, like they say, you had to be there moments. In Destiny 1, there was so many of those moments where you just had to be there to experience the joys of it. Forward to Destiny 2, they decided to try and fake and FOMO those you had to be there moments. And it didn't work. Re-releasing the Galahorn in a paid form didn't work. Making people open 90 chests just to get the 1,000 voices, and I still don't have it, didn't work. They turned Destiny 2 into a job. And then they decided that instead of focusing on the gameplay, the actual story, the actual, activities, they wanted to focus more on Eververse, and they started to strip the game more and put all the stuff into Eververse. Even stuff right now, like the Halloween event, the Dawning event, which are supposed to be paid for by Eververse. That was their promise, that any fund transactions we do with Eververse goes to funding activities like the Valentine's event, like the Dawning event, like the Halloween, and they're monetizing that too. We're already paying for those events to be there. Additionally, through the transaction store. But they're double dipping by not only selling you items, but creating another battle pass for you to do it. So it's no surprise that the standard of storytelling has dropped. The standard of gameplay has dropped. The standard of fun factor has dropped. I mean, I find the game so insanely boring right now. I can't even sign into it because it's just such a chore to play. And the one thing I wanted to do with Destiny was just finish the damn story, and I can't even do that because it's so boring. I can't even finish the damn story because of how bad it is. That all they care about is monetization. And then they go and sell themselves to Sony. And then you've got all of that malarkey. Hey, Steve, thank you very much for joining the membership. I appreciate you. It just... They had such a good game there. And they ruined it. You had the Destiny podcast with Destin. That guy loved it. But when you see all the major players, the developers who are working on Destiny move over to something else, it's a former shell of what it was. And the game shows it. The story narrative, delivering you 20 minutes of gameplay a week, shows it. Yeah, Pikmin's a strategy game, so I don't see how that would be a family game, so it's a bit weird. But from this one over here, I think this is just weird. It was broken at launch. It was absolutely broken at launch, and people couldn't even play it. It was overheating graphics cards and everything. How did that even get nominated? Fire Emblem and Pikmin will probably take this. Although Advance Wars is cool, one of these two will take it. Best esports racing. I have no ties in this. I know Forza Motorsport is in this, but how is it an esport? I don't know. Well, this is the thing with that Leaf. Age of Empires 4 is an old game, right? So they re-released it like they re-released Resident Evil 4. But apparently that doesn't count. It only counts for those that pay a lot of money. I mean, it just goes to show, right? It just really goes to show, Diablo, that the people that were in charge of this nomination process, things need to change. I mean, it's just bad. Best multiplayer. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, right? Super Mario in 4 players is hella fun. Okay. I know this is multiplayer in 2 players, but I've never really counted this as multiplayer. That's just me, right? If it's a fighting game, I don't really count it as a multiplayer, but it is a multiplayer. By definition, it is. But you get where I'm coming from. If you don't, that's fair. If you do, at least you know the angle I'm attacking this from. This one, 4 players, super fun. This one, you know, it's more like an MMO type experience. I mean, if this is here, why isn't games like Final Fantasy XIV not here? Right? Why isn't Halo Infinite not here? It's had a massive resurgence this year. Why is Halo Infinite not here? But is it only games that came out this year? Fine. Maybe that's why Halo Infinite isn't here. But I don't see it. Who the hell plays Baldur's Gate in multiplayer? You do? You're the first to have actually admit to I find that someone's actually played it. At least there's one. At least there's one person that plays it in multiplayer. And Ref, that's fine. Like I said, I don't think it should be here, but I understand why it's here. I'm not saying it shouldn't. But that one's crazy for me. But I think Diablo, or between these ones, I think Diablo 4, Party Animals, and Mario will win it. I mean, the multiplayer is the least spoken about aspect of it. I mean, one of the things that I was disappointed with Starfield was the fact that it was a single player and not multiplayer. I mean, a co-op on Starfield would have been so freaking awesome. I think it would work. It doesn't have to be like massively multiplayer where you see everyone around you, but just like a 2-player co-op would have made it really, really good. But that's just me. Because sports games aren't multiplayer. I'm joking. But, you know, I don't think they're going to put Madden here, considering how bad Madden is. The EA Sports football club that they've got, that should have been here, because that's still selling like buckets. Regardless of how much money they make, they're still popular. So why they're not here is interesting. Because FIFA makes more money than all of these combined. Madden makes more money than all of these combined. Or maybe not that much money, but you get what I'm saying. They can't mention Halo Infinite Maori because it wasn't released this year. Again, you're really trying to troll, but you're just making yourself look even more stupid to everyone in the chat. It really doesn't bode well. No, none of that, please, Refy. Or Ref. I don't want to see any of that sort of language in here. But Halo can't be nominated for this because it's for games this year. But again, if you wasn't trying so hard to troll, you would have realized that and wouldn't have made yourself look stupid to everyone in the chat. Best adaptation. I haven't seen this one yet. I do want to watch it. I've watched Mario. I've watched The Last of Us. I've watched Castlevania. I want to watch Gran Turismo, but I know it's not going to live up to either of these two. For me, The Last of Us and the Mario movie, it's going to be a close call between them, but I think The Last of Us will win this. I need to watch Twisted Metal. I haven't seen it. Oh, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just said I haven't seen it yet, so I can't judge on it. But I don't think it's going to give me the same enjoyment I had with The Last of Us and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I really enjoyed these two. Jack Black was phenomenal as Bowser. He was great. Absolutely great. I hope he keeps that role because he was amazing. Donkey Kong was great. Diddy Kong was good. I mean, everything about the Mario movie, I really enjoyed. It was everything I wanted in a Mario movie and more. The Last of Us adaptation was solid. Some things I didn't like about it, where they kind of skipped certain parts in the game that I think they could have added to make it better. But to me, it's going to be a really tight one between The Last of Us and Super Mario. Yeah, Steven, it was good. It was good. Super Mario. I mean, the one thing you say about Nintendo, when they put their IP forward, I mean, just look at Detective Pikachu. Again, I really enjoyed that game. Really did. It was such a good movie. When Nintendo used their IP, they make sure it's done right. It's done perfect. It's done without fault. which is why I'm looking forward to the new Zelda movie, because you know Nintendo is not going to allow that to come out as bad. Batista, from what I've heard, ref is tech. I mean, Batista is the only one that can play that role. I can't see anyone else playing it. If they get Tom Holland to play Marcus, I quit. Nah, John Cena wouldn't work. He isn't built enough. You need that big henchness of Batista. I think Batista's perfect for it. But I swear to God, if they get Tom Holland to play Marcus, that's it. What were we at? Okay. Not Batista. Why not Batista? He's perfect for that role. And he wants to play it too. Tom Nolan. Marcus. The new Pokemon thing is called Pokemon Concierge. Ah. Yeah, this will be interesting. Most anticipated game. Now, this one caused a lot of drama because there's a lot of anticipated games coming from Microsoft as well, like Hellblade 2. But the requirement for this is that it has a release date. And unfortunately, nothing coming from Xbox has a release date. And because of that, none of them were in this category. Recognizing an announced game that has demonstratively illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. It needs to have a release date. Now, I think, in all honesty, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to win this hands down. There's just too many people that love the 7 franchise. So Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth looks really cool. Star Wars is another one that's going to be interesting because this is the one that pretty much, in my opinion, could potentially rival the likes of Starfield in terms of space exploration and just going from planet to planet and seeing what it's like. I don't really know much about it, but it is done by Massive, and that worries me a little bit. Tekken is Tekken. I don't really care for it. Hades is cool. It doesn't have a release date, Leaf. It needs to have a release date. Microsoft did not put a release date on any game. It needs to have a release date. All of these have a release date. Avowed, Hellblade 2, none of them have a release date. Even Towerborn doesn't have a release date. It needs a release date in order to work. I mean, they're not earning that much money, considering they missed their projections by 45%. So that's catastrophic in its own right. I mean, fair, Edward, fair. I think there's a release date already for Hades. Or at least it's announced for 2024. But with Hellblade, with all the Xbox, it's not confirmed, no. We all think it's coming next year. Everything points to it coming next year, but it's not confirmed as a 2024 title. Even Outlaws is scheduled for 2024. It has a 2024 date. I mean, I don't think Flight Sim would have made it in here. That I'm not sure, Edward. But it needs a formal announcement of a trailer or something where it's definitely coming, and we haven't had that. Content Creator of the Year. I mean, it's clearly sacrilege that I'm not here. Obviously, I needed to be here, but You know, clearly media bias showing again, right, chat? Right. Like, why are we even voting for this? Like, seriously, why are we even voting for this? What has this got anything to do with gaming? I mean, most people are going to go for Iron Mouse because, well, just go check out her content and you'll understand. She's actually a really fun creator that doesn't take things to heart. Best esports games. I don't even see him talking half the time. PS5 has sold 45 million units, and yet they've decided that they're not selling enough PlayStation subscriptions, so they had to hide the number of subscriptions they have because they're losing, because everyone decided we're going to jump sales ship and cancel our subscriptions until they lower their prices, which they're not. So there's that. They are not delivering. I mean, one game a year? I couldn't give two shits if it's nominated for Game of the Year. One game for your whole fucking year? And you're going to sit there and try and defend that? Good job, buddy. Good job. Where's the first party games? There's nothing announced for 2024. I mean, Wolverine apparently is leaked, but no official announcement. And you're only ahead financially by not that much. I think in America, the difference was about 3 million in terms of revenue. I mean, I get first past the post is first past the post, but nothing to write home about. Best esports game, I've got no interest in this, but my kid loves Valorant, so it's going to make me vote for Valorant. I mean, Microsoft want to release 4 games a year, right? And they've now said that 4 games a year, they can deliver that as of next year. So that's the Microsoft side. Then you've got the Bethesda side adding games. So if they release 2 games in that time, that's 6 games. Then you've got Activision games. They'll probably release another 2-3 games. So that's, it's 9 games. Then you've got the Blizzard side. We already know that they're working on that other game that they're working, the survival game that everyone wants to know what it is. And they're working on another game as well. So if they actually decide to release 2 games next year, I mean, they've got all the expansions for WoW coming as well. But let's just say 2 games there. So we're at 9. So that's 11. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of games coming. Is he defending Destiny? No, you are 100% incorrect, Maori. Activision actually had nothing to do with them losing money. In fact, Activision, if they wanted to, and I am very surprised about this, they had a clause in their contract, because we actually saw it, where if Bungie failed to deliver on their contractual obligations to release an expansion, which they did, Activision had the right to claim the whole of the Destiny IP. And Bungie couldn't do anything about it, and they signed that contract with Activision. And they did fail to deliver the expansion via the contractual terms, and Activision decided that, you know what, we're going to be nice and give you an extension. But if you fail that, then we'll take it. But on top of that, Activision had to bring in High Moon Studios and what was the other one? Vicarious Visions, to actually get them to finish the goddamn games. They had to have another 2 studios. Activision wasn't doing anything bad to Bungie. Bungie is just plain shit. They may have mastered the corridor loading better than anyone else. And sure, the gunplay is amazing. But as developers all round, as a company, they couldn't even manage to release their own goddamn game and had to rely on the efforts of Vicarious Visions and High Moon in order to get the game out. I mean, the only DLCs that are worth talking about, the base expansion, Vicarious Visions had a huge hand in that. And it was actually good, the Red War. Curse of Osiris was all Bungie. The worst expansion in Destiny history. Even worse than the House of Wolves. Then you had Warmind, which is arguably one of the best expansions for Destiny. That was 90% Vicarious Visions. Then you had Forsaken. That was all Vicarious Visions. Have you seen a pattern here that anything Bungie touches turns into absolute shit? Anything that the Activision Studios were touching were good. The only one that actually knocked it out of the park was the Witch Queen. That was a really good expansion. And then they followed it up with Lightfall, which was arguably even worse than Curse of Osiris, because that was a full-blown expansion as opposed to a DLC. So don't sit there and say Activision did this and that. They should be kissing Activision's boots for how they kept them in the business. Without them, they would be in much worse trouble. At least get your facts right. Don't just come here spouting the internet Reddit news that you read like a parrot. At least do your research and make sure you know what the fuck you're talking about. Jesus. Man, so many Twitter Reddit trolls these days. Everything they read on there must be the accurate news. Go do some research, man. And at least when you come here to troll and you've got the correct ammo to use, then I'll say, yeah, you know what? You're actually right. This is correct. But coming here and spouting bullshit? Fucking hell. Jesus. It's just like, the Lightfall DLC that came out was, is so bad. It almost killed Destiny. The one thing in Bungie's history that kept people engaged was PvP. But because they made that free to play, the one aspect that kept people happy during a drought, they killed. How is that business thinking? Anyway, best esports athlete. Who cares? Who cares? You know what? I'm going to vote for Faker just because he's a faker. I mean, Ruler could work as well. You got Imperial Hell. I actually don't know. I don't know why we're voting for these. Best esports team. My kid's going to make me vote for whichever one's got Valorant in it. So it's going to be Fnatic or Evil Geniuses. Like I said, I don't follow any of this at all. I don't care for them. Oh, where is it? Where is it? This dude. He's not even a coach. Best esports coach. He's not even a coach. He actually tweeted out to Jeff Keighley, and he actually said, "Can you please remove me from this because I'm not a coach?" Why is esports a thing? I have no idea. They clearly paid him some money to add them in there. But this dude actually reached out. Where's the best shooter, best graphics? I mean, in terms of gunplay, the magnetism that Bungie uses in their gunplay is good. Now, what do I mean by magnetism? I'm not sure if you've noticed, but let's say, let's use Mr. Remy here. I can shoot where this NVIDIA logo is here in Destiny, and the bullet in a straight line will go this way and swerve to the left and hit his head. I know bullets aren't supposed to swerve, but it's what's called magnetism. It's a thing that Destiny has that basically If as long as it's within a certain range of their body, the bullets will swerve, and that's why the gunplay feels so good. If they actually took that out of Destiny and actually made it pure skill based, it would actually be complete trash. Yeah, the Super Bowl is never going to get eclipsed. That's too big of an event. They do. And did you hear what Bungie just did with Destiny 2? They fired their whole anti-cheat department because it was costing them too much money. Da, 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 da. Best esports event. Recognizing an event. Again, okay, you know what? This one, I'll go with Evo. I do like watching people playing beat 'em up games, and actually the skill involved in that is actually pretty damn sweet. And I think that's it. That's it. That's all the nominations. Now, where was it? Was it in about? That's the media kit. That's the advisory board. Not here. There was something. I'm actually impressed that Hideo Koshima's in there. Would it be under FAQ? Can I co-stream? Can I attend? No. Is that it? Here we go. So this is the people. This is the agencies outside of the community. So the community, when they vote on this, all of this, you only have a 10% say in what gets nominated, right? For whatever category you want. 90% belongs to these guys. So you got Game Informer, Entertainment Weekly, GameSpot, Kind of Funny, IGN, PC Gamer, The Verge, Game Rant. You know, all of these are anti-Xbox, Edge, Eurogamer, Guardian, Metro, PC Games, all anti-Xbox. And you can see, you know, where it's going. I'm actually surprised to see Skill up here. It's kind of cool. I'm really happy for him to actually have achieved at least this status in Australia. Good shit. You know, I remember when he started off as a Division 2 creator, and he was creating like little DPS guides and skill things. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. He's come such a long way. But these are basically, I mean, these ones here, I have no idea. But these are all the people that basically have a say in the 90% vote. This is your panel. And these people will sway 90% of the overall views. But my question to you is, considering how much these publications trashed, and I mean trashed, Starfield, there was no way on this universe that they were going to take all of that back, reverse it, and then say, we actually want to nominate it. Because that would have made everything that they had done up until that point with their propaganda exposed as being completely biased. So this is why Starfield didn't get the nomination for almost anything. Because after everything they did for the clicks, there was no going back at this point. It was just impossible to go back because it would have made themselves look so stupid that they would have lost any or credibility they have remaining. Yeah, I know. But these people basically, and there's a lot of people, right? There's a lot of companies here. But that's that. We do have this from Reddit as well. Let's big it up. Now, these are all the nominees that actually happened on Reddit. I'm not on Reddit, on the Game Awards that we just looked through. If we scroll down, someone went through a lot of effort to get all this in there. It's this here. Here are all the games nominated for an award. I put them in a number of nominations, alphabetical order. I left out Best Ongoing and Community Support outside of Baldur's Gate 3 since the other 9 games in those categories were earlier releases prior to November 18th, 2022 deadline. See, I think that should have been left out too for Ongoing. That shouldn't have counted. But they put it in there, again, because it had to match Alan Wake. But Alan Wake got 8 nominations. Baldur's Gate 3 got 8. Spider-Man 2 got 7. Hi-Fi Rush got 5 nominations. Mario Wonder got 5. Zelda got 5. Final Fantasy 16 got 4. Resident Evil 4 Remake got 3. Street Fighter 3, Cocoon, Cyberpunk, Diablo, Dredge, Forza, Lies of P, Mortal Kombat, Party Animals, Pikmin, Sea of Stars, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Terra Nil, Venba, and Viewfinder all got 2 nominations. Now, some of these deserved more. I'd say Diablo deserved more. Lies of P deserved more. I think Party Animals deserved more. Sea of Stars deserved more. And then you've got the games that just got a single nomination. Armored Core, 1 nomination. Really? Really? After everyone, after the way the media were jerking off to it publicly, they were making YouTube videos, jerking themselves off to copies of Armored Core. They didn't really. But you might as well say that they did, because that's how they were dealing with it. Dead Island 2 at the time got some pretty good acclaim, and I think it's deserved because the game is really good. Dead Space deserved more than 1. FIFA, I'm just going to call it FIFA, probably deserved more than 1. At least it should have been in the sports categories, which it wasn't. Horizon Call of the Mountain shouldn't even be there, because that game is just so shit it's not even worth talking about. Remnant 2 deserved more than 1 nomination, for sure. Synapse probably is in its right place, and I think Starfield probably should have had 2 or 3. And the one category that they put Starfield in was deliberate, because Baldur's Gate is there. And we all know Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win. You know what? Is it really Reforge? I mean, he has blocked me, by the way. Reforge has blocked me. Are you really Reforge? Are you Lono? You're not Lono, are you? I mean, you're not going to admit to it anyway, but... You ain't Lono, right? Come on, you can't be that sad. Where's the mouse? Let me see something. I mean, I'll find it really funny if it was actually Reforge. Considering he blocked me on Twitter. It feels weird calling it Twitter now. I call it X. I've gotten used to it now. Let's see. The hell's that stupid fly? What am I looking for? Okay, there we go. So let's have a little count. 1. So if this is correct, what I'm looking at, let's see. I'm trying to see how I can see the top 50 games on Steam. But if what I'm looking at here is correct, Halo's in 40th position. Let me share my screen. Let me share. So I'll come to all products. I assume this is the top 50, right? This is like the top list. You've got Counter-Strike at number 1, which is never going to be dethroned. You've got Baldur's Gate 3 there. You've got Lethal Company, whatever that is. It's doing the rounds at the moment, released in October for £8.50. Modern Warfare is still up there in the top 5. Football Manager is doing really well. Cyberpunk has crept up. But if we scroll down for Halo, it's in number 40. That was a count I did. And yeah, if this is the screen we're supposed to be looking at, yeah, post it. Fanboys are obsessed with it because it's their gotcha moment, even though they have no stake in the race for it. They've got, I mean, where's Spider-Man? Okay, Spider-Man isn't even here. A lot of games. Maybe there's a hyphen. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So Halo's around here somewhere. I think we passed it. There's Starfield. And the Halo is slightly below it. Oh, where do we see? Where do we see the players? I guess you can't see them here. Team database. Okay, so this is no good. Let's see. All right. Let's go here. Let's go back to our All right. Charts. Let's see. Spider. The remastered currently has 3,500. Not too bad. Miles Morales is clearly suffering. But where do we see the chart position? I mean, according to this, it's not even in the top 100. Okay, Spider-Man is in 162 for the remastered. Miles Morales is even further. Nope. Miles Morales is 334. All right. So let's check out. Let's see where Halo is. Halo is 84, so it's definitely doing better than a PlayStation game. Starfield is still in the top 50 at 37, so it's still doing better. And let's see our modern MW. Nope, that's going to be near the top anyway. And our Prize and Joy Modern Warfare is doing better than Baldur's Gate. And at the top, as you would expect, Dota and Counter-Strike to always be above the rest. But yeah, man, Lost Ark did amazingly well for its time. All that money they paid content creators to jump on that and play it is ridiculous. What was the other game? Hogwarts. I mean, almost caught you. I mean, it's a sad day when Hogwarts is actually outdoing Spider-Man, considering how bad every pony out there is saying this game is. But it had 879 concurrent all-time peak. So it actually beat Baldur's Gate 3 for all-time peak. It actually beat them. So if we're looking at all-time peak, man, Elden Ring did really freaking good. Even New World did. That was surprising. Until they realized what the game was. But yeah, you're telling me that a game that released in 2023 that had a concurrent user base, the highest that released this year, because Elden Ring was last year, New World doesn't count. That should have. I mean, New World should have been in the best ongoing game, right? Considering it's doing okay, and the new expansion has done okay for it recently. But Hogwarts Legacy, which had over the amount of what Baldur's Gate has, and don't forget, Hogwarts Legacy is just a one and done game. It's pretty damn good. Yeah, we went through that, Monkey. It was it was funny. But where does the flagship Sony games come in? Halo Infinite with 272k, considering most were playing it on Xbox and Game Pass PC. I ain't seen anything from Sony. Anyone know how far we have to go before we start to see a PlayStation game? I guess the point I'm trying to prove is, you see Sony fans keep saying, oh, look at the actual Steam charts and the Steam user and the Steam hierarchy, and then they don't even have a foot in the race. I know you said KH, but I'm pretty sure that's not Kingdom Hearts. Hey, Andrew. I mean, the good thing about the video game awards is that it's a time to bring everyone in the gaming community together to kind of rally that train and, just enjoy it and celebrate good games. Unfortunately, that celebration is marred when you're talking about, fixing and rigging the overall awards. It loses its value. It's times like these that I wish E3 would come back. There we go. We got our first PlayStation game, God of War. I mean, can you imagine God of War, the most prized possession, didn't even outdo Halo? How embarrassing is that? I mean, don't forget, ponies say that Halo is rubbish, right? It's trash. It's the worst game in the world, and it couldn't even outdo. It couldn't even outdo that. It didn't even outdo It couldn't even outdo Starfield. That's thinking. I mean, I think Elden Ring deserved it. There was no reason why it shouldn't have got it. Elden Ring deserved that. I mean, the fact that it's still being played by 36,000 people in the last 24 hours speaks volumes. Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer died the day it came out. But if we're looking at a 24-hour peak for today, right? Tuesday, Counter-Strike is always going to be up there. Dota is always going to be up there. So, we can disregard those. Anyone that wants to regard them for the sake of clout is just being stupid. Those will never get dethroned, right? We know that. So Call of Duty right now is, as far as the average consumer is concerned, the number one played game on Steam. Then comes Baldur's Gate, so it has dethroned Baldur's Gate. This one is quite interesting. Source SDK base 2007. Must be a lot of developers out there. Why is this not doing it in numbered order? Okay, there we go. So these ones over here. Jesus, Naraka is doing that well. Has anyone played Naraka? I've tried to play this game. I could not get into it. Where is Ark? Ark is not here. Ark is very far down. So at the top you got Counter-Strike and you got Dota, PUBG, Apex Legends, which has had a big resurgence lately. Seen a lot of people playing it. Naraka is my confused one. I could not get into this game. I tried playing the single player experience because it was on Xbox and Game Pass PC. I just couldn't do it. But COD being there is no surprise. You got Baldur's Gate, Grand Theft Auto 5 still, on the back of Baldur's Gate 3 is really crazy to see. Wallpaper engine, Jesus. There's a lot of people that like wallpapers. I'm actually really surprised to see Football Manager 2024 being there. Fun fact, right chat? Fun fact. Football Manager 2007. I'm in the credits, and I'm also a player in the game. Once you get to, I think, 2020 or 2022, I get regenerated into the game as a character you can come across. I did such amazing work for Football Manager 2007 while I was working at Sega and was leading, well, I wouldn't say leading the QA, but I was one of the main QAs there. Sports Interactive were so pleased that they just wanted my stats and my details, and they placed me in there. This was back when they actually appreciated the work you did as QA. Now there is no appreciation. Hey, Chaos, sorry I'm a bit late. Just woken up. It's pushing at Microsoft and have not been voted. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. And never apologize, dude. I appreciate everyone that is here and everyone that shows up. Anyone that shows support, everything. So even just pop them in to say hello, I appreciate it. TheChaosLounge Game Awards bring all gamers together except Expo Fanboys. You and the rest of the drama queens are mad that Starfield is not competing against Baldur's Gate 3. No. I know you want that, and I know right now in your little room, in your little shoebox, you're taking out that sock to jerk off to at the satisfaction of seeing people getting triggered. But no. I know you're a sad, pathetic individual that loves to get off this shit, but seriously, dude. If you really want to go and jerk off to Baldur's Gate 3 while they're having sex with a bear, there's plenty of stuff you can go and find at Pornhub that might actually... will Pornhub have that sort of thing? I don't really go there because I'm actually married. I can have sex when I want. But maybe it's the fact that you want to get laid and it's affecting you mentally, that you think that as a grown man, this is going to affect me. I don't know. But once you've grown up a little, started to grow a beard and actually understand how the rest of the world works, and you can take fun in this sort of thing and actually, you know, revel in just having fun and talking about shit, then come and talk to me. But until then, once you've grown a few pubic hairs, then come and talk to me. Because until then, you know, I don't really want to say things that might hurt your feelings. And, you know. Anyway, as we were going. So yeah, if you ever managed to catch the 2007 edition, I'm in that game. I did an amazing job. Hey, Ark is there at 19 with 53,000. Ark ascended. I guess it's been available for a while. Me personally, I cannot stand Baldur's Gate 3. I've tried it. I've watched it. I don't enjoy it. But you know, on the other hand, I'm a huge fan of Returnal. I love the game. It's a really good game. Every so often I put it on, give it a bash, have my face smashed in by the boss, and go on a break again. There are games I like, and games I don't. Just because Counter-Strike is #1 doesn't mean I have to enjoy Counter-Strike. I don't like Counter-Strike, I don't like Dota, I don't like PUBG, I don't like Apex, I don't like Naraka, I've never been a fan of Call of Duty, I don't like Baldur's Gate, GTA has never been a game I'm interested in. Football Manager, I actually play every so often, once in a while. Every few years I'll get the new one and play it. But as you can see, just because a game is super popular doesn't mean that you're going to like it. What am I drinking? Coffee. I mean, it is almost 1 a.m. So coffee. But you know, as you can see here, the actual number of people playing games it's actually interesting. I like stats. I like looking at stats. I'm really surprised how Battlefield 2042 has turned it around. I'm actually tempted to download that off EA Access, EA Play, I think it is, on Xbox and give it a try. I think that is on EA Play now, right? It was taken over there, so definitely might give that a shot because I used to love Battlefield until 2042 came out. Still surprising to see Destiny maintaining that 30,000. That is interesting. Rocket League I thought would have more, but maybe it's because it's a Tuesday. New World is pretty much what I would expect. VR chat, God. Hey Mary, this is probably the place for you. There'll be so many kids in there that pretty much will respond in the same manner of you. You'll find a perfect home in there. Starfield still having 23,000, 24,000 peak today is pretty decent, with an all-time 330,000. And why are these numbers interesting? Why is this good? This number is good because there is a huge portion of players that are playing this via Game Pass PC. I'm playing it via Game Pass PC. And before you say I'm a cheapskate and don't buy my games, I have the Starfield Watch, the Collector's Edition. I have the game on Steam. I have the game on Xbox. I bought it to Early Access so I could play it. So I've paid for the Early Access. And then I bought it on the Collector's Edition, the only one I could find, which was the Steam version. So I bought that as well. So in total, I think I paid about, 300 quid for Starfield? And I'm perfectly happy with that purchase. But my choice of playing it right now is through PC Game Pass. That's where I play it. I can switch between there and through GeForce Now. They now have an option to play Xbox games or Xbox PC games through the cloud through GeForce Now, which is great for my Steam Deck because now I can play it through there as well. Or I can just go and play it straight on my Xbox when I'm not on my PC. I have options. But as you can see, no matter where I'm playing it, it's not on a platform that's affecting Steam charts. So the fact that the Steam charts is getting 24,000 daily is still damn impressive. If we then consider the PC Game Pass and the Xbox player base as two additional avenues of, let's just say, worst case scenario, 15,000 each, which is going to be more, right? We know it's going to be more. But that knocks it up to 60,000. So we're looking somewhere here, almost within the top 15. But it's going to definitely be more than the actual numbers I'm saying. So I think it would definitely easily eclipse and be within the top 15 of games played if you looked at all the numbers that are playing it. So 30,000 is actually, 24,000. Was it 24,000? Yeah, it's actually really good. Alan Wake, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I've finished. Well, I've got to the crossroad for Alan Wake. So basically, when you're playing it, you get to play as Alan and Saga. You get to play both of their stories, and they eventually meet at some point. Alan has already got there. Now I'm playing through Saga. I think I've probably got maybe another hour before Saga finally meets up with the story where Alan is, and then it's the final run. So I think I've maybe got about 3-4 hours left in the game. I'm going to stream it tomorrow on Twitch if I have time, if I'm not asleep. I've just got a lot of stuff to do. I've been asked to create some videos for Tower of Fantasy. And I've got a few other bits and bobs that I want to do, a couple of videos I want to make for my TheChaosLounge YouTube channel. So it's all dependent on time. As this isn't my full-time job, I'm strapped on the number of hours per day I can do stuff. But if I have the time, then I'll definitely at least jump on for a couple of hours tomorrow night on twitch.tv/ChaosPrimeZ Gaming. So if you are interested, go drop a follow, because I usually, if I am streaming with how busy I am, jump on quite late. So go drop a follow and make sure you're notified when I go live. Yeah, I agree. I'll just put it in chat. Backlogs are ridiculous, mate. I've got so much, it's crazy. But yeah, so these kind of let's chat streams that I do, I'm gonna keep them on YouTube. I feel like this is a better avenue for it, a better place for it. I think it just works better. I think these sorts of streams work better on YouTube. But for the gaming ones, I'm gonna be over at Twitch. I appreciate that, Josh. I think we're on like almost 800 follows. Trying to get to 1,000 follows over there by Christmas. So if you want to show some support, definitely go and drop a follow. Twitch is easy. Just create an account and off you go. Fallout 4 is still there. I mean, when you consider it, Fallout 4 only had like 120,000 more concurrent users playing, and it wasn't available for free. Well, not for free, but via a subscription model. Sure, it was available on Xbox and PlayStation, but that just makes the Starfield one even more impressive, right? Fallout 4 was available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and it only managed to get 472. But Starfield got 430,000 by omitting PlayStation and having it on a subscription service. When you take all those factors in, it's pretty impressive what they actually managed to do. Oh, for sure, Stephen. As soon as that is announced, you'll be seeing my video. I like steelbooks too. One of the games that I'm actually wanting to go back to, I wonder if it's here. No, there we go. Any of you played this one, Valkyrie Elysium? I mean, there is zero in game right now. It's a very not a super game. It's very basic. It's a shame it doesn't work on a Steam Deck. But it's by Square Enix. I really enjoyed this game. I haven't finished it, but I definitely do want to finish it. Man, for all the hype that Witcher got and still gets, only 100,000 concurrent. But only a few games ever hit the epic scale of that. And Hogwarts Legacy still today has 10,000 people playing it. But like I said, I've actually been defending Hogwarts Legacy for the past day or so. And I've already started to receive hate mail. It's just ridiculous. I mean, Xbox fans are smart. They didn't want to pay money for a DLC. Not 70 quid anyway. Ponies, on the other hand, they'll buy anything that has a PlayStation logo on it, right? Just look at the Portal. Oh. It is funny to see them. I think the best thing is the fact that they'll complain about Game Pass, But the fact that PlayStation Essentials, Extras, and Premium copied Game Pass, they won't talk about that. They moan about Xbox games being on a subscription service, so if you lose your subscription, you'll lose all those games. Well, you dumb fuck. What about those games on PlayStation Extras? Do you think if you stop your subscription, you're going to have those games? So when you look at it realistically, they're the same thing. Because when you pay for Ultimate, you get your live service, just like you do when you get your PlayStation Extras or your Pre-Essentials. You get your live service, you get your access to go online, and you get a bunch of free games. The only difference between the two of us is that one side gets day-and-date games, which is great for the consumer. The other one has to pay $70 for their games. The fact that you're happy to pay $70 for your games is crazy. If you had the option to get them day and date through Sony's subscription service, I guarantee you would be jumping for joy. But because you don't, you have to cope. And your coping mechanism is to say, hey, you've got the same service as we do, but your service is superior, so I'm going to make fun of you, right? That's essentially what you're doing. When you compare the two, that's what you're doing. I mean, Sony for the longest time, and all you Sony fans, no, who's going to go play cloud games? And now they're all jerking over PlayStation Premium's cloud service. I mean, I'm not making this shit up. You guys are. Yes, you have to pay for demos on PlayStation. You actually have to pay for it. A lot of their demos are locked behind the Premium, which is the highest tier, where you get 10 hours of gameplay for a demo. I mean, the fact that their cloud saves are locked behind a paid service says it all. I mean, it's just cloud saves. Something that should be readily available. Yet they are perfectly happy to champion the fact that you have to pay for that. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. I don't know, it blows my mind, man. It blows my damn mind. And have you noticed how everyone keeps talking about Starfield for the Game of the Year event? Have you noticed how everyone keeps talking about Starfield, but won't mention the other games like Diablo? Like, why is it solely focused on Diablo? I mean, no, sorry, on Starfield. It blows my mind. But so is PlayStation's online service as well, Maori. You don't have all the best games there. You've got trash in there as well. The indie games you talk about, like, what's that game that came out recently? Slipped my mind now. Tunic. That's on there, isn't it? It's amazing that you're calling that game garbage when it was actually nominated for awards. But just like every subscription service has trash in there, so does PlayStation Premium. What are you jerking off to? I mean, Netflix has bad stuff on there. Amazon Prime has bad stuff on there. They're always going to have fillers in there. That's just how subscription models work. You have the bangers, and then you have the fillers, the ones that pass the time. You really are clueless. Are you actually going to Google and posting stuff to try and get gotcha moments and coming back, and then I'm having to slap you down every single time? I mean, at what point are you going to get tired? I appreciate that, dude. But I think this is the one I'm gonna end up finishing up on. But it's not so much having a go, it's more educating. But and don't get me wrong, I actually think Forspoken is a good game. In my review, I gave that game a 7.5. I knocked it down for its clumsy skill tree because it's very restrictive in how it works. And I also said the same thing for Starfield. I knocked it down for the actual abilities that you unlock. They leave the best so late in the game that it becomes pointless. But overall, the game is a good game. And the fact that their own fans killed a decent game is surprising. But Jez here says, there's a lot of articles that are like Starfield failed to get nominated for Game of the Year. It's everywhere because everyone wants Starfield to fail. Everyone wants those clicks because at the end of the day, not Spider-Man, not God of War, not Gran Turismo, not any PlayStation game out there, including The Last of Us or Uncharted, has the popularity, power, or sheer attention grab that Starfield has. Because Starfield is the biggest game, at least SEO-wise, in the world right now on the console platform. So why are there no articles for Hogwarts? Because it wouldn't get traction. No one cares. No one wants to go, no one wants to open that Pandora's box again. Diablo, again, it's not really news. It's not going to get the clicks. These games, as he says, were over 90 meta. Why doesn't anyone want to talk about those? I mean, who the hell talks about Spider-Man anymore? No one. It's done. It's finished. No, you don't even see videos of it on Twitter no more. It's just gone. It's vanished. It's been Thanos out of existence. But they keep coming back to Starfield because it gets the clicks and, it gets those ponies super happy, super excited. And, it's like that South Park episode where that guy gets so excited on the keyboard that he starts coming everywhere. That's how the ponies are when they see the word Starfield. And the reality is, regardless of the state it's in, if Starfield was a PlayStation exclusive, IGN, Metro, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, they would have all given it 8s, 9s, or 10s. And every pony out there would have been licking that boot of Bethesda and saying, thank you, overlords, you have given us another gem. But the fact is, because it's gone to Xbox and it's an Xbox exclusive, they are so butthurt. And as I said in one of my older videos, they've all congregated around Butthurt City to kind of get together to try and bring Starfield down. But the fact is, every time someone talks about Starfield, whether it's in a positive or negative view, the SEO picks it up. And the SEO keeps recommending it to people because that's how it works. So there's a saying that no publicity is bad publicity. That is partially true. You can get really bad publicity. Like if you're at KFC and you buy a chicken and someone dies from it, that's bad publicity. But the reality is, Starfield is just going to get better and better. And once in 2024 they release their modding studio creation hub, it's gonna blow wide open. Because right now modders are extremely restricted in what they can do. But once you give them the full go ahead and you open the playground for them, that's when you're going to start seeing some real cool shit. And that's how Bethesda wants their games to be. That's, you look at Skyrim and it sold over 60 million copies. Who in this day and age will go and buy Skyrim and not apply a single mod to their game? I mean, I remember back in the day when I was going to play Skyrim, and the first thing my friend gave me was a list of mods that I had to apply in order to make the gaming experience even better than it already was. Of course it's going to be out, Jason. Of course. I liked Forspoken. I did put 48 hours into the game. I would give it a 7.5. Yeah, I think that's a fair score. If they actually fixed the skill tree, so you wasn't restricted to leveling 3 items only every time, and some of them were really difficult to do because you got so powerful, because you had to kind of do damage and not kill the enemy. So if they actually did a better job with that, and then they gave you the skills a little earlier, especially the green one at the end, which is just way too OP. If they gave you that a little bit earlier rather than right at the end of the game so you could go and enjoy and use it. And there's a few other little niggling bits that I found in there, but those two alone would have probably taken the game to an 8 for me. But why did Forspoken fail? Because it became a meme. It became a click fest. You saw content creators, streamers, cowering in their fucking rooms, holding their heads and closing their ears because it got them views, it got them clicks. None of these people gave a rat's monkey's ass about the developers that would lose their jobs. So when they hear about these people now getting laid off or fired, why the fuck do they care? Seriously. If they are purposefully degrading a game when it's not even bad for the purpose of clicks without any care in the world as to those developers keeping their jobs, why be a hypocrite and pretend that you care? Because the reality is, no one cares. Right? Because in the end, it doesn't affect you personally. Now, if Tom, Dick, or Harry losing their job affected you personally, you would care. But you, in the grand scheme of things, like when you boil it down and talk about it in real terms, it's sad that it's happening. It's unfortunate, and happening around Christmas is awful. But when you wake up tomorrow, you're not going to be talking about the layoffs. They're going to be saying, fuck, I have to go work today. But I'm actually really sad that for those of you that have finished Forspoken, the game doesn't end. It actually continues. And I'm actually sad that we'll never get to see how the story ends, because it doesn't end. And I don't even care if they just release a DLC to finish it off. But I'd really like them to do that. Dear video game industry, please name a woman. The Game Awards nominees are so awful and confusing this year. Definitely by far the worst I've seen. Hopefully the actual showcase will be good. I'm really hoping we're going to get to see some cool games. I'm probably going to... I don't know if I should be streaming this over on Twitch or YouTube. I'm not sure. I'll let you all know. I know it's not that far off. We've still got 2 weeks, but I'll decide. Because I know from my other channel they want to watch as well. Hogwarts Legacy is this one's game of the year. Baldur's Gate, Hi-Fi Rush, Starfield, Dead Island. All this Xbox tax business, yes, there have been pretty suspect behaviors like big publications spamming negative articles incessantly for hits and the Game Awards just being crap generally, but there is no major conspiracy, even if I think the media has a natural leaning towards PlayStation. I mean, that in itself tells you that there is conspiracy. Yeah, I could probably do that. I can probably do that. That actually makes a lot more sense. I'll stream it on this one and over on Twitch because my other YouTube channel, I can only stream to 2 outlets at once. So, Microsoft leaked some documents that showed the new console, and it spoke about by 2027 if, and these were old documents, these were like 3-year old documents, that 2027 they needed to see a significant growth or they'll leave the industry. But they've already committed to a new console for 2028. So it's already been rejected, redacted, whatever you want to call it. It's already been made redundant is the word I'm looking for. But these idiots will continue down that pathway, even though it's already been confirmed that a new Xbox console is in development and they're looking at a 2027-28 release. So you're looking like at a long generation for this console. Although I don't really see the Series X or the PS5 lasting till 2028. At that point, every game is going to be running at 30 frames per second or rely on VRR. But I think maybe 2026 is a more realistic date. But I think the next generation Xbox will probably release with Elder Scrolls 6. The Game Awards 2023 is a pathetic, woke industry circle jerk. And I mean, let's just look at Insomniac Games. They're all for the DEI, right? For inclusion and everything else. But the moment money became a factor, they removed all of that shit when it went to Saudi Arabia, didn't they? So the whole position on inclusiveness and being supportive, the moment money is involved, that goes out the window. They're not inclusive, they're not supportive, they just don't give a shit. Sony really needs to have something at this Game Awards or just have a showcase. This is Sony's showcase. The Game Awards is Sony's showcase. You can. And those cats are adorable. And this is the one I keep coming back to, right? Because I don't care what anyone says. I mean, you can have your opinion, and I will totally respect it. 100%. Unless you're just trolling and plain wrong. But Ghost of Tsushima was a brilliant game. I enjoyed it from start to finish and the DLC. But it got an 83 Metacritic. So, and this was nominated for Game of the Year as an 83. So every time someone turns around and says Starfield is trash because it got an 83, they're actually calling Ghost of Tsushima, which in my opinion is one of the greatest games ever made, trash. And I don't understand that logic. How can you turn around and call Ghost of Tsushima trash? See, I think the PlayStation Pro has to go with so this is the thing, right? I think this is why Microsoft isn't going with the PlayStation Pro. I mean, with a Pro version. Let me see if I can find it. I think, what is it? Where is it? Peter actually had a clip of it. Now, this guy is a super fanboy. I get that. But he did have... I mean, this is quite amusing. All... I know they keep saying that Xbox had none. I guess they inherited a bunch. But the one I'm looking for is RoboCop. I know he had a clip. Despite all the fanboy nation that he's got going on, and I don't think I'm going to find it, but there was a clip. I mean, I think this is correct. If the Portal was an Xbox device, IGN would have easily given it a 4. No, I can't find it. Which is a shame because it was here. Let me see. Let me do a search. RoboCop game. There was a comparison between Xbox and PlayStation, but I can't find it. No. Here we go. So as you can see here, this isn't just a single drop that we're seeing this. This drops down to 40 frames per second while Xbox maintains 60, and they look the same. Right? That is because the Xbox handles Unreal Engine 5 better, and developers now are actually using the tools through the Velocity architecture with them. Sony doesn't have mesh shading incorporated into the PS5. Those mesh shaders do a lot for frames per second, a considerable amount. So I feel like the Xbox, at the moment at least, doesn't really need a Pro console because no one's really tapped into the extra hardware, extra power that it has. And now that they are, you're seeing a stark difference coming in multiple games between the two. So in order for the PS5 to now compete with the Series X, it's going to need a Pro. Previously, developers were not allowed to use those features because Sony put a feature in their contract that says games have to be parity. They have to be the same. The Series X can't be better. But for some reason, that clause, I guess, has expired because now we're seeing more and more companies like Alan Wake, with Remedy's Alan Wake 2, actually perform better on the Series X. Arguably the game of the year. It performs better on the Series X. You're seeing a game like Robocop, which looks amazing, I can't wait to play it, perform better on the Series X. So this is a thing. So I feel like they kind of need to push over, whereas Xbox for the time being doesn't need it. I'm really shocked that this got 66. I don't get why it's being panned. Do you know that one of the reasons reviewers are giving this game bad is because it follows the movie? All they care about is Game Pass, and how's it feel as a pioneer knowing the PlayStation biggest selling game will be a Microsoft game? Because, you know, COD will always do well on that platform. It will. It will. But here's the kicker. Here's the big thing. Once the new Black Ops actually comes out on Game Pass, day and date, how many people will go from PlayStation, considering Call of Duty is their only game that they play, and for many that is a thing, that is all they play. How many people will make the jump from PlayStation to Xbox in the notion that an investment now is an investment for the future? God, I really want an Ed 209 figurine right now. I do want it. I do want it. I do want it. Oh, we can pre-install Persona 5 Tactics for those of you that are interested in that game. What happened to the best racer category? There wasn't one. Let me go back to it. I don't think there was one. Let me just find it. They kind of jumbled it up with sports, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Let me switch the screen over. So this is what it was. You got best sports racing. So you had EA Sports FC Football Club 24, Formula 1 23, Forza Motorsport, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, and the Crew Motorfest. That's all there was. Edward, that's what I'm thinking. Now that the developers are using that power, they can do it. But if they are planning on going to 2028, we are going to start seeing a lot of games running at 30 FPS on console. Wait, who said soccer is not a traditional sport? Of course it is. Exactly, Edward. Exactly. You never know. I mean, people are spending stupid money right now, right? I mean, they're burning money for a PS Portal, so they could easily just trade that in and get a Series X. I mean, it says best sports. and racing, so they kind of categorize them all together. The Crew is supposed to be a good game. It is. We call it football here. You know, because it's football. You know, the ball is on the floor and you kick it with your foot. Not like handball with rugby or American football, as you guys call it. So you call it American football, we call it rugby over here. Just without the extra padding. It's quite brutal. It's a very rough sport. But folks, I think I'm going to call it there. It is 1:30 in the morning. And I still have a video to try and prepare for tomorrow, which is not going to be good because I start work in about 6 hours. Sucks to be me. But I'm going to basically whack off and call it a night. Thank you so much for all the memberships that were dropped. I do appreciate it a lot. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot that, you know, they're choosing to support me in what I do. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for that. I will be back again on Friday on this channel to have another Let's Chat. So we can definitely check that out there. During the week, if I have time tomorrow, depending on what time it's going to be, I'm going to continue my Alan Wake playthrough over at Twitch. The gameplay side will just be over at Twitch. So if you want to check that out, feel free to come over and check me out over there. Again, the link is here for those of you that do want to. And yeah, I'm enjoying that game a lot, and I'm hoping to finish it soon and then move over to my next game. Oh, look at that kid, Maori. Man, that kid literally tried his hardest to try and trigger people. He must be really hurting right now to just see that he's didn't achieve anything other than wasting his whole night. What a sad loser. There's the link anyway. Hey Mary, come and drop me a follow. If you come over to Twitch as well, I'll roast you there too. It gives me something to do while I'm gaming. Right, everyone. I will see you in the next one. As always, remain legend. Have a good night.